subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Not going crazy on the spot. Snapped. Leon slapped Director Bard on the shoulder. We will discuss these issues later. Now, can you show me your scientific research materials and results? Director Bader was stunned and touched his half-bald forehead. Yes, come with me. I have printed all the research materials into paper versions, and the electronic versions have been destroyed. I originally planned to burn these materials before I died, but luckily, you came in time. Chapter 62 outside the police station, Director Bard took out a thick stack of documents from a safe and presented them to Leon with both hands. This is most of the key experimental data, as well as the research process and conclusions. Do you want to use these data to restart the research? Leon casually picked up the 30-centimeter thick bound document and began to read it on the spot. He said calmly, "No, I plan to finish reading it now and then go to the Umbrella Underground Research Institute for the next step of improvement." Have you finished reading it now? Bud thought to himself that it would be impossible to see the sea dry up and the rocks rot away. However, Leon's action of reading the book immediately shocked his eyes. That can't be said to be watching, not even browsing. Leon held a corner of the thick document and raised it. His fingers were slightly loose, and the pages suddenly fell down like a poker shuffle. In 2 or 3 seconds, a thick pile of documents was washed. Leon closed his eyes, and after a few seconds, pushed the file into Bud's arms. "Okay, let's burn it." "Okay, Bud was stunned, his eyes moving back and forth between the documents in his arms and Leon's face with his eyes closed. I have read it and memorized it," Leon explained with his eyes closed. "But you turn the book upside down." Bud didn't even question whether it was reasonable to read and memorize a 30-centimeter thick book so quickly, because just the fact that the file was flipped from back to front was so explosive. Just write down all the words and then reverse the page numbers in your mind. It's very simple. Leon still closed his eyes. Director Bader's mouth opened and closed. I don't know whether I should believe it or not. Anyway, he was doubting life right now. In the end, he looked at Leon, who was unmoved, and took the document, got some gasoline, and lit it on fire to burn it clean. He told himself in his mind, the other party is the savior that the world has found, and some strange things are normal. Leon kept standing there with his eyes closed. It's not that I'm pretending to be aloof on purpose. But when he wrote down all the experimental information in the file and began to understand it, he discovered an anomaly. He found that when he understood knowledge related to biochemical technology, his thinking became particularly sharp and flexible. The speed at which superbrains process information has not changed, but his research talent in the biochemical field has been greatly improved. Just by recalling the experimental information he just memorized, countless inspirations flashed through his mind. It turns out that the gift is indeed a kind of reinforcement that I need very much. Leon understood. It turns out that the gift given to him by world consciousness is to strengthen his research talent in the field of biochemistry. If you want to make a comparison, his talent in this area can be said to have reached the top level in the world of Resident Evil. The corresponding characters are probably William Birkin, Alexia, and Marcus. It's just that these people only have talents and don't have superbrains. So even in terms of creativity and inspiration, everyone's talents are roughly the same. But their actual research level is countless levels worse than Lion at this time. After Director Bard burned all the information, Leon also opened his eyes. "Do you need anything else?" Director Bard immediately approached Leon. "Take all the T-virus liquid and vaccine samples you have. It's time for us to leave." Leon shouted out of the room, "Jarvis!" Jarvis has been controlling the armor to eliminate the infected. It has gone from the first floor to the top floor. Almost all the zombies in this hospital were killed by it. "Is Jarvis your companion?" Director Bud asked carefully. "He is considered a companion. You will know when you meet him." Half a minute passed before Leon finished speaking. The ceiling of the room was suddenly blasted open from above. Supermark number 1 fell from the sky and kneeled down on one knee in front of Leon. Black lines hang down from Leon's face. Is Tony's squatting posture popularized in the Stark family? Exoskeleton mecha. Bard on the side didn't have so many thoughts. He just felt dizzy. This is my artificial intelligence, Jarvis. If you have anything, you can ask him for help. After Leon explained, he put the virus solution and vaccine that Bud had just taken out into the box and handed them to Jarvis. He reached out and lifted Director Bud's collar. Let's go to the Raccoon City Police Department. Amid the screams of the middle-aged man, Director Bard, Leon and Jarvis rose into the sky one after another. A few seconds later, Leon appeared above the police station, and Jarvis was coming 10 kilometers away. Director Bard, who was held in his hand, still had a look of shock on his face, and his screams were still loud and bold. "Stop howling, we're here." Leon couldn't help shaking Bud's collar. There was nothing at Bard's feet. Being shaken like this, he screamed louder for a while. Even the zombies that were besieging the police station were attracted. They turned their heads strangely left and right, looking for the source of the screams. Leon simply ignored Director Bard. He turned on the X-ray camera and observed the police station. In the small police station, corpses and zombies are everywhere you can see. The police officers in the Raccoon City Police Department, except for the chief, are still very competent. The biological crisis broke out in this city on September 25th, 3 days ago. It was the police department that responded quickly, setting up shelters, rescuing civilians, and planting explosives on the streets. Only then did most of the zombies in Raccoon City be eliminated, providing a glimmer of hope for the surviving residents. But the price is that there are very few police officers left in the police department. Of course, this is also related to the fact that the police officers do not understand the T-virus. The fall of the police station was initially due to the presence of infected people among the refugees being sheltered. Infected people broke out among the crowd, and zombies outside the police station continued to attack. Soon there were a large number of casualties in the police station. Now under the observation of Lion, there are only 5 people alive in the entire Raccoon City Police Department. One of them is the scumbag director Brian Irons, who is always in the office, while the police chief was in office, has been conducting illegal cooperation with Umbrella Corporation, collect bribes, and conceal evidence of crime for the other party. He even opened an orphanage next to the police station to adopt orphans as experimental materials for Umbrella. It can be said that he is a complete scumbag. Leon couldn't stand this kind of scumbag. He released heat rays directly from the air, passed through several layers of walls, and nailed Mr. Director to the leather sofa. Poor Chief Irons. He was currently playing with the corpse of the mayor's daughter on the table, planning to make it into a specimen. But without warning, 2 red rays came through the wall and pierced his chest. He opened his mouth wide in disbelief, touched the 2 holes on his chest that were scabbed with blood due to the high temperature, made a hiccup sound, and fell down on the corpse in front of the table. On the other side, Jarvis finally rushed to Lion. Director Bud also regained his composure. He looked at the door of the police station below, his mouth wide open. Raccoon City Police Station. We're here now. Chapter 63, the only 4 people left. He looked up at Leon, who was carrying him. Amazed. How did you do that? Leon smiled and did not answer. Finally calmed down. To be honest, your scream just now was at least 3 decibels higher than when my brother called for help. That was an accident. It was an accident. I'm not like this usually. Director Bader realized his gaffe and shyly wiped the non-existent sweat from his forehead. He looked down and saw scattered zombies patrolling the dark streets. There were also a dozen guys with rotted chins and arms, blocking the police station door and beating them constantly. What should we do now? Mr. Savior. Bud asked tentatively. Leon smiled. Just call me Leon. The next step is to enter the police station. He began to lose altitude, exhaling freezing breath as he approached the ground. Layers of frost began to spread rapidly across the streets. All the standing and lying zombies turned into ice sculptures one after another. The ice has been surrounding the building's circle within 300 meters of the police station, turning the entire area into a kingdom of frost. But the magic is, these layers of ice only cover the surface of the object. It does not affect its internal structure. 1 or 2 strong dim yellow street lamps, wrapped in ice, can continue to shine and heat, projecting strange colors through the ice. The cake seller. It's like the ice god has waved his scepter. Director Bard's eyes reflected the frozen street scene, which was so dreamy. This metaphor is not appropriate. Leon put Bud on the ground. After all, I only hold you in my hand. Director Bader felt Leon's friendly attitude towards him and laughed. It's an honor for me to be your scepter. Leon shook his head and walked to the police station first. Bud followed step by step, turning his head from time to time to look at the frozen zombies or streetlights. He found that the zombies in the ice were not dead, but their bodies were gradually losing activity due to lack of oxygen. I think it won't be long before the zombies in this neighborhood will die silently. How amazing! He sighed and chased Leon again. Jarvis was in the last position, sonorously walking forward. Bypassing the cars blocking the street, the two came to the police station. There's a closed iron door that prevents zombies from invading the police station. A dozen zombies were stuck here and frozen into an iceberg. Leon bent his knuckles and knocked, and the iceberg shattered all over the ground together with the zombies inside. Standing in front of the frozen iron door, Leon looked through the gap at the police station behind the door. Then he asked Jarvis to turn on the armor's built-in PA system. Is there anyone inside? All the zombies on the street have been taken care of. Please open the door and let us in. The frustrating sound spread throughout the neighborhood, and the four people in the police station must have been woken up even if they were sleeping with earplugs on. Besides, they didn't sleep, but rested in the hall. Leon saw through perspective that the police inside acted quickly. The radio broadcast by the Raccoon City Police Department accepting refugees is still played repeatedly on some car radios. As long as they don't break in directly, they won't conflict with the police. Within a few minutes, the front door of the police station building opened. A tall, thin black policeman came out. He placed his right hand on the butt of the gun at his waist and held a flashlight in his left hand. He first looked around, then trotted to the iron gate. Behind him, two more people came out, both uniformed police officers, staring at the frost all over the street in shock. Wait a minute. I'll open the door and let you in. The black policeman scanned the bodies of the two lions and found that there were no obvious wounds and no firearms. He immediately prepared to open the door. He looked around. God, what happened here? Why did everything suddenly freeze over? It's September now. As he spoke, he pulled the door bolt. However, the door bolt was also frozen, and he couldn't push or pull it even after all his efforts. No, this thing is stuck inside. I have to find a flamethrower. The black policeman frowned. He looked around again. Fortunately, the zombies are frozen and unable to move. Don't make any noise here. I will be back soon. No, officer. Lion called to the black policeman before he turned around. He grabbed Bud's collar with his right hand, jumped over the iron gate, and landed next to the black man. Sometimes the most primitive way is the simplest. He raised an eyebrow at the black man. The black policeman took a step back and praised. What's your kung fu? What an amazing skill. And thank you for saving me the time of running out to find a flamethrower. He pointed at the other two policemen. Come with me. Let's go inside first. It's freezing and snowy outside, and the temperature is extremely low. Maybe I can find you some coats from the police station. There's no need for clothes. I can handle this temperature. But I have a friend who needs to go in with me. Leon snapped his fingers. Jarvis, come in. The sound of the propeller immediately sounded outside the police station wall, and the steel armor sprayed flames into the courtyard. Fake. The black policeman subconsciously pulled out his gun. What the hell is this? We can go in later and talk slowly. Leon showed a mysterious smile. He walked into the police station first and glanced back before entering the door. In a building dozens of meters away, he saw a red skirt flashing by a window. A few minutes later, the interior hall of the police station. So, he is the savior. You are the director of the virus center. This is a mecca. The ice outside is caused by his breath, and Umbrella is the culprit of this crisis. After a few minutes of conversation, the black policeman made a summary. During the conversation, Lion's statement and Bud's guarantee were intertwined. The three police officers were skeptical at first. It wasn't until Leon froze a table with his freezing breath that their attitude finally changed. Now both parties have reached preliminary trust. Okay, we believe it for now. The three of them looked at each other, and the black man stood up and said, "Let us also introduce you. I am Marvin Branagh." The black policeman pointed at the other middle-aged white policeman and the fat policeman. He is Elliot Edwards. The last one is the fat man. We all call him Lao Xing. It's just you three? Is there anyone else in the police station? Director Bader asked. He is still wearing a white coat and looks very authoritative. Marvin immediately pointed to the medical partition at the back. We still have another person, but his condition is not right. Mr. Bud, I'm afraid you have to go take a look. Bud didn't speak, but looked at Leon first. After Leon nodded, he agreed. I have no problem. Take me to have a look. The three policemen looked at each other again, and they could all see that Lion was the dominant player in this group. This made them believe in what the two said before. Chapter 64, Three Survivors, everyone's current location is at the entrance of the police station. Further inside is the reception desk. The front desk is surrounded by a floor paved with brown marble tiles and simple load-bearing stone columns. Because Leon's freezing breath did not spread to the room, so everything here is still as it was before. The entire hall presents a retro style. The wall lamps inlaid with stone pillars are plated with gold powder, and a light tone is close to the sun. Behind the front desk is a statue of the Statue of Liberty. Leon remembers that this police station was originally a museum. It was later remodeled by the director into its current appearance. The purpose was to cover the entrance to the underground Umbrella Laboratory. The entrance is just below the Statue of Liberty sculpture and requires 3 stone slabs to open the mechanism. The group walked around the front desk. Between the Statue of Liberty statue and the reception desk, there is a makeshift emergency room made of medical partitions. On a stretcher bed inside, a man with a pale complexion was lying. He was very strong, with fat muscles and neatly short hair, but his body temperature was horribly low. He's infected. Bud could see the problem with this man at a glance. He opened the man's body and said the wound is on the arm. Depending on the situation, the infection will not last more than 3 hours. We can still save it. But I don't understand why you keep an infected person in the police station. This is very dangerous. Recently, Bard has seen too many examples where more people were killed because he couldn't bear to give up his companions. The expressions of the 3 police officers who were overjoyed when they heard that their teammates had rescued them suddenly became calm. He is a member of the STARS team, named Brad Vickers. He is very important to us. We found him collapsed in the alley, so we brought him back. Officer Marvin said, "There are only a few of us left here anyway. Even if he mutates, it doesn't matter. So, we still have a glimmer of hope in our hearts, and fortunately we have waited for you." What do you mean by what you just said about being saved? The 3 policemen looked at Bud and Leon expectantly. We have brought T-virus vaccine and serum, which can resolve the infection. Leon called Jarvis over and opened the suitcase. There are 3 blue virus stocks, 5 rose-red vaccine samples, and 4 antiviral serums. Vaccine? Is there a vaccine for cannibalism? Marvin was trembling. If they had obtained the vaccine earlier, how could they have lost so many companions? Umbrella develops viruses, and, of course, it will also develop corresponding vaccines. Bud took out a serum from the box and pricked it into Brad's arm. After a tube of serum was drained, Brad's pale complexion immediately improved a little. The 3 police officers felt reassured and had a little more trust in Lion's previous words. Both of you, since you are planning to save this city, you should come to the police station with a purpose. The middle-aged policeman Elliot asked, "I wonder what we could do to help." Leon turned and walked towards the Statue of Liberty sculpture. That's right, a research institute of Umbrella Company is just below the police station. I'm going to go in there and make a better vaccine. So you need to enter it through the entrance of the institute located in the police station. Elliot was very excited when he heard this. Are you serious? I knew there was a secret passage here. Officer Phillips was indeed right. It's a pity she will never hear the news again. Phillips seems to be one of his female bosses, but she died before. Leon patted the middle-aged police officer on the shoulder. You have done a good job. Now step aside, and I'll open the passage. Several people retreated in confusion. I saw Leon half crouching in front of the Statue of Liberty and suddenly struck out like lightning, smashing through the thick stone slab under the sculpture. Those stone slabs fixed with steel bars. It was like soft jelly in front of him. No sense of sluggishness at all. His face was as pale as a lake. His breathing was calm, and even the muscles in his arms were not tense. Just a sudden movement of raising his hand. Then the entire Statue of Liberty and its foundation stone were torn down. It was as easy as lifting a piece of tofu. This scene made the eyes of the other people present jump. It was too violent and cruel, but no one has the energy to pay attention to this. Because after the Statue of Liberty was knocked down, a section of stone steps was exposed underneath. Under the stairs is an open secret room with exquisite decoration. Even if you only see a corner, you can feel the luxurious atmosphere. This secret room is right under our noses, but we haven't discovered it for so many years. Elliot shouted, holding his head. Marvin's expression was also very different. It's the director. He colluded with damn Umbrella. The fat police officer was so angry that he said nothing. They looked at Lion. Mr. Lion, what should we do now? Leon thought for a while. First, search for survivors in the surrounding areas. Deal with the remaining zombies in the police station, and then enter the Underground Research Institute together. I've frozen all the zombies outside. I'll leave it to you to search for survivors. Is that okay? The black man Marvin nodded immediately. Don't worry, the three of us will set off right now. The three quickly packed up their equipment, formed a formation, and left the police station. Leon looked at the armor again. Jarvis, you go and eliminate the zombies in the police station. Okay, Master. Jarvis took off automatically and rushed into various offices of the police station to clean up all the zombies. 20 minutes later, Super Mark I returned to the hall with some zombie bloodstains. There was a scratch on its chest, which must have been caused by a sneak attack by a monster called a Licker. Mission accomplished, Master, Jarvis reported. On the other side, Marvin's team also returned with 3 survivors. They are a father and daughter, an Asian woman. A strange father-daughter duo. My father has a round figure and a tough guy temperament. He kept his daughter in his arms and didn't let her show up. The Asian woman is wearing a red dress. Her long legs are wrapped in black stockings, and she wears high heels. She looks gorgeous, but has a cold temperament, and something called charm is jumping out of the corners of her eyes and eyebrows. Mr. Lion, these are the only survivors around. Marvin was a little frustrated. I can't find anyone else. It's okay. When a new vaccine is produced, more people will be saved. Leon patted Marvin on the shoulder. The middle-aged police officer Elliot introduced. This is the owner of Kendo's gun shop behind the police station, Robert Kendo and his daughter. And this lady is in an abandoned building. I'm an FBI federal investigator. The Asian woman took out an ID and said, Ada Wong, come here to investigate Umbrella. She looked at Leon. I heard they said you are the savior. Can you give me some evidence? Sorry, I don't need to prove it. Leon couldn't help laughing. When he froze the streets around the police station, Ada Wong was watching from a certain building. Asking these things now is undoubtedly to investigate more information about him. It doesn't matter what you are, savior or god. It doesn't matter. Kendo, the father of the 3, suddenly shouted. They said you have antiviral serum, right? Give me the serum. As long as you give me the serum, I will do whatever you say. Everyone looked at him in shock. Director Bader made an observation and exclaimed, The girl in his arms is an infected person. Lion added, But still early days. If you're just infected, you can still be saved. Without his command, Jarvis automatically controlled the armor to take out the serum, and before anyone could react, he gave the little girl an injection. The little girl, who was barely awake at first, collapsed into her father's arms after one injection. Emma, how are you? Damn it. How dare you, you idiot Emma. Your eyes are starting to recover. The old father Duncan held his daughter extremely anxiously. Fortunately, the vaccine took effect very quickly, and the girl's white eyes quickly returned to their original color. It's just that his consciousness is still not clear, so he may need to rest for a while. Very good. Everyone is happy. I like this kind of family-friendly plot when watching movies. Leon took a few more glances and after confirming that the little girl was getting better, he turned and walked towards the underground passage. Now, there is a new mission. Officer Marvin, one of you will stay to protect the survivors and guard the police station. The other two went down with us to make new vaccines at the Institute. After he finished speaking, he disappeared into the passage very neatly. Let's go. We have to race against time. Director Bard and Jarvis followed Leon, and they walked into the underground passage. Chapter 65 King, Ada, the remaining people looked at each other. Marvin gave the order. Old fatty, you stay. Elliot, let's go. The survivors can rest here. It's up to you, Marvin. The fat police officer obeyed the order. Well, is he really the savior? Dad, Kendo hesitated and interjected at this time. I haven't had time to thank him yet. It's not too late to thank him when he comes back. Take your recovered daughter to say thank you. Marvin helped him put his daughter on the stretcher. But you guys broke into Umbrella's laboratory. Is it really okay? Duncan had doubts. Constable Elliot said, Mr. Lion is so strong that nothing could happen to him. But we're not sure whether he's the savior or not. That's incredible. But we believe him. The fat police officer interjected. Marvin walked out of the hospital partition at this time. Let's go. Elliot, let's follow. Two police officers, one black and one white, drew their pistols and followed them into the underground passage. King Ada watched silently from the side. After the two police officers disappeared, he suddenly said, It seems that you got along well before. No, I was really shocked by the incredible mecha and freezing breath when I arrived. Haha, the fat police officer sat on the sofa. But you don't seem to care about being left alone. King Ada glanced at the underground passage. The police station also needs people to guard it. The fat man frowned. It sounds like you have different opinions, madam. Ada walked to the passage gracefully and slowly. No objection. I just have to say goodbye to you for the time being. She waved her hand, held the passage, lowered her head and ducked in, quickly disappearing from everyone's sight. Hey, you can't go, damn it. She ran in. Let's chase her. Dad Kendo's eyes widened with anger. But the fat police officer next to him acted as if nothing had happened. Hey, fatty, aren't you in a hurry? Duncan stopped halfway through. The fat man shrugged. Whether she wants to cause trouble or conduct an investigation, it is impossible to influence Mr. Lion. Just let her go. Just kidding. Will an ordinary federal agent affect Superman, who can easily pull the Statue of Liberty out of the ground? The other side, the four of them walked into the elevator in the underground room. This elevator leads deeper underground. However, as soon as the armor entered the elevator, the circuit sounded an alarm, indicating that it was overweight. Jarvis, you are too heavy. You have to fly. Leon complained. Master, your armor is too heavy. Jarvis controlled the armor to fly in the air, preparing to lower its height as the elevator descended. That's a good rebuttal. I won't let you drive my armor next time. Leon pressed the down button again. The elevator's sliding doors began to close. However, at the last moment, a red figure slid on the ground and squeezed into the elevator, stopping in front of Leon. Wow, Black. Leon looked away silently. Ada stood up and straightened the hem of her skirt. Those are safety pants, gentlemen. Because I'm a gentleman, I am so generous in reminding the lady that you are out of stock. Lion said, That really makes me very grateful. This gentleman, Mr. Lion. Ada squeezed in front of Lion. This elevator is a relatively spacious multi-person elevator, but Ada squeezed in front of Leon and stretched out her neck seductively. The distance between the two became so close that they could hear each other's breath. Leon is very familiar with this routine. Natasha would come in like this from time to time when we were having heart-to-heart talks at night. He can guarantee it. If he were to attack with lust at this moment, King Ada would immediately back away and say with a sultry but contemptuous look that this was not very gentlemanly. At this time, if it were an ordinary person, her defenses would be broken immediately by her, and the fish would bite the hook. To put in literary terms, it is like a little deer breaking into the heart without any warning. Playing hard to get is the basic skill of these female agents. But facing the temptation of King Ada at this time, Leon can completely calm down. After all, let alone safety pants, he even personally operated Ada's bunny girl costume in his previous life. You don't want to offer more benefits, but you still want to seduce him in a lion? Does he seem like the kind of person who can't stand the test? You're welcome. I'm more curious about why Ms. Ada chased you in. I have to remind you that it's dangerous down there. Leon turned slightly sideways, away from King Ada. A little surprise flashed in King Ada's eyes. Leon's actions really made her believe that the other party was a gentleman. This is my job. If there is danger, dealing with it is also part of the job. Ada Wong pulled out the pistol from his tactical vest. Besides, Dr. Bader wants to go down with you. Aren't you worried about something happening to him? Facing Ada's temptation, Director Bard, who had been silent, explained, I'm fine. Mr. Lion will protect me. Ever since he followed Leon, Bud's sense of security has been overwhelming. This kind of sense of security, let alone after the outbreak of the biochemical crisis. Even before the crisis broke out, he has never experienced it. There were a few times when Bud kept thinking about how he could stay with Leon and do things for him. Compared to Umbrella, someone like Leon is the best boss. So that's it. It seems that Mr. Lion is very strong. King Ada asked. She was trying to get information, but it seemed too straightforward. Fortunately, you will see. Leon did not answer directly. Talk about it. King Ada is also one of the protagonists of the Resident Evil series of games. She is a freelance agent who serves the HCF organization on a daily basis and occasionally works for a force called the Family. Compared to Natasha, Ada Wong can be said to be much freer and more unrestrained. Of course, while being free, she was also less tempered by countless life and death crises than Natasha. King Ada, who is now 23 or 4 years old, is many times more immature than Natasha of the same age. Ding! At this time, the elevator also reached the bottom. The sliding door opened, and 5 people walked out one after another. Below the elevator is a long set of stairs. Leon starts and goes all the way down. When he encounters a locked door, he opens it. When he encounters a zombie blocking his way, he freezes. Soon the group walked into the sewer underground of the police station. Follow the sewer and you'll find the Umbrella Research Institute. Leon flew directly up. He had no intention of walking through sewage. Even the olfactory nerves were suppressed by him. Otherwise, the smell here would make him choke. Fly, it's flying. Marvin and others were startled at first, and then they kept looking at Leon in surprise. But while they were surprised, it did not affect the efficiency of their actions. Several people followed Leon and jumped down the steps one after another. The sewage from the sewer instantly reached their thighs. In the end, only King Ada was left standing on the steps. She looked at the turbid sewage flowing under her feet, and then at the person above her head, and her lips trembled. Leon looked at her jokingly, waiting for her reaction. Finally, King Ada sighed and jumped into the sewage. Chapter 66. Opening a road through the mountains, follow me and stay vigilant. Leon greeted and floated forward slowly. To be honest, it's a bit weird to fly in his current casual outfit. It feels like a high school student working hard to go to school and taking time off to save the world. The sewers are already very close to Umbrella's laboratory. Along the way, there were turbid sewage and moss-covered cave walls. Strange mutated creatures kept jumping out and attacking everyone. Some are half-body like giants looking at dead corpses, and the other half are like infected people who have turned into giant leeches. Some are sewer insects that are 1 meter long, and there are huge mutant crocodiles that are 1 to 20 meters long. God knows how Umbrella turned an ordinary sewer into a place richer in biodiversity than the sea in Japan. Not only are these monsters highly dangerous, they are also numerous. Normally, even if a small group of special soldiers arrives, there's a risk of being annihilated. But Lion flew ahead of everyone. When encountering monsters, beat them, and when encountering a wall, destroy the wall. No monster can block his punch, and no wall can stop him for 1 more second. The group had an unimpeded journey. It's almost like hiking here, except the environment is a bit overwhelming. Even King Ada, who had been extremely vigilant, only had time to shoot and kill a zombie fish that was pretending to be dead. Other than that, she couldn't grab any monsters. Our Mr. Lion really makes people feel safe. I admit that he is an absolute gentleman. King Ada said words of praise, but wrung out the hem of her skirt with some disgust. At this time, everyone came to a sewage treatment tank platform. There are all water buildings here, and large sewage treatment machines are constantly running and rumbling. They finally got rid of the sewage, soaking temporarily. Marvin used a flashlight to illuminate the surroundings, and stinking corpses could be seen in some corners. Look at these people. Some are wearing lab coats, and some are wearing combat uniforms. Umbrella really has a huge scientific research base here. Elliot also gritted his teeth. This city is under their control. These worms deserve to die. Isn't it the characteristic of this country that capital controls power? King Ada followed Lion casually. Are you right, gentlemen? Leon didn't answer, took a few steps, and suddenly said, "Back off." "What?" King Ada was stunned. Before she could react, Leon in front of her grabbed her arm and pulled her to her side. The next second, there was a sound of cracking in the air behind her. Looking back, a giant mutant insect passed by her previous position with its mouth parts wide open. The insect failed in its sneak attack and tried to escape, but was hit by Leon's whip leg and hit the wall, exploding into insect juice. King Ada was a little scared. "Thank you." She leaned half against Leon, supported his arm, and backed away, only to find that the arm had a marble-like touch. I couldn't help but sigh. "You have a good figure." Leon raised his eyebrows. "I think so too, but you owe me once. Girls won't like stinky men." King Ada raised her lips. "That's impossible to say." Leon continued to walk forward. Going all the way along the sewage treatment area is the control room. Through the glass, everyone can see a large platform at the other end of the control room. An armored cable car is parked on the platform. "We're here," Leon said. "You can get to the Institute by taking the cable car." Thank God, it's finally here. Director Bader's physical strength was at its worst, and he was extremely tired. He took the initiative to open the door, but the iron door of the control room was locked tightly. "It's locked," Bud said. So everyone looked at Leon. "Let me do it. I can pick the lock." "Please, Leon. You can't do it every time." King Ada stepped forward and took out the lock-picking tool. However, before she could finish her words, Leon had already pushed the iron door and the surrounding walls to the ground with one palm. The two looked at each other. Leon spread his hands innocently. "Maybe next time you can tell me in advance that you can unlock the door. Pretend I didn't say it." King Ada put away the props. "Let's go and take the cable car." Leon turned his head, but then looked at the hidden corner of the control room. "Madam, if you plan on taking a ride with us, you can come out now." Everyone was shocked. There was actually someone else here? Suddenly, all the guns were raised neatly, aiming in the direction Leon was looking. There a thin, middle-aged woman with sunken eyes came out. She was wearing a white research uniform and pointed her pistol at everyone. "Police? You shouldn't be here. There are only infected people left in the Institute. You'd better leave now." She stared at everyone and warned. "Yanni Birkin." At this time, King Ada stepped forward to confront her with guns in both hands. "You and your husband are the creators of the virus and the culprits of this disaster. There's no need to be hypocritical," she warned sternly. "Hand over the G virus now." At the same time, Ada did not forget to explain to Leon, "The purpose of my coming here is to eliminate Umbrella. The G virus is far more dangerous than the T virus, and we must not leave it in the hands of this woman." Everyone looked at the two people back and forth, feeling that the situation was a bit complicated. Director Bader had never even heard of the G virus. After Arnie Birkin heard the word G virus, her eyes instantly changed and became sinister. "I see. You're also here for the G virus." She smiled contemptuously. "Don't even think about it." Under the cover of the words, she took the opportunity to throw a grenade and then raised her gun to shoot at Ada. "Not good, dangerous." The two police officers, Marvin and Marvin, pounced on Lion immediately, trying to knock him down and block the explosion for him. However, Leon ducked away, grabbed the grenade with his left hand, and pulled Ada King with his right hand. The bullet grazed Ada's arm. A few seconds later, there was a muffled sound. Leon spread his left hand and shook off a few wisps of black ash and debris. The palm of his hand was still clean and fresh. This. Everyone was stunned. They covered the thunder with their palms, and there were no injuries at all. Who was this person? On the other side, Yanni Birkin, who was about to exit the monitoring room, was also stunned. She felt that even her husband, who had turned into a monster, might not be able to do such a thing. Leon glanced at the stunned Yanni, took a few steps forward, grabbed her, and threw her to Marvin. Control her. Let's go to the Research Institute. Several people looked at each other and followed Leon onto the platform. King Ada hesitated, wanting to say something, but remembering Leon's action of extinguishing the grenade just now, he didn't want to say anything. On the platform, walk to the cable car. Everyone discovered that the operation of the cable car requires the use of staff identity bracelets. After coming back to her senses, Arnie Birkin smiled proudly. It's impossible for me to give you permission bracelets, so just give up. Mr. Leon. So Marvin and the others looked at Lion habitually. It looked like he was waiting for him to show off his skills and take down the thick armor door with one punch. King Ada was anxious at first. Wait. And Leon, calm down first. Opening the cable car violently will cause a malfunction. I think we can interrogate this woman first. She pointed at Yanni. She must have an authorization bracelet on her. Along the way, I was shocked again and again and challenged my worldview again and again. Now the cold temperament on King Ada's face has collapsed. Before today, she would never have imagined that she would use a tentative tone to communicate with others. Chapter 67, you know nothing about his power. Yet even she has made such a huge sacrifice. Leon just looked at her strangely. What did you say? Do you think I can only think with my muscles? Leon frowned dissatisfiedly. He snapped his fingers. Jarvis. I'm here, master. The steel armor, who had always had no sense of presence, stood up. Turn on this cable car and get it running. Yes. Several data cables were protruded from the steel armor and connected to the cable car's external screen. After a few seconds, the screen flashed and the cable car's armored door opened with a hiss. Look, I still have artificial intelligence. Leon winked at King Ada and walked into the cable car first. Everyone followed and filed in, praising him as Mr. Lion. King Ada stayed for a few seconds, then suddenly tilted his head and laughed. Ha ha, just like a fool. I don't know if I'm talking about Lion or myself. She tapped her forehead and followed helplessly into the cable car. Under the control of Jarvis, the tram began to run slowly, and its speed gradually increased. There should be a lot of zombies and mutated creatures in the Institute. Leon stood among a few people and said, So it's still the same. I'm in front, you follow. When the underground base is cleared, you can help sort out the research materials and equipment. As for how to improve the vaccine, I already have preliminary ideas, and it is no surprise that the results will be available before tomorrow morning. Several people, Lee Budd, expressed admiration. Marvin and Elliot were full of excitement, and Ada clapped her hands, but her eyes twinkled slightly. Oh, you're such a bragging brat. You're only 17 or 18 years old. Let's go to college first. Only Yanni muttered disdainfully. The cable car will arrive soon. Everyone exclaimed as soon as they got off the platform. I don't even know how much money and thought Umbrella spent here. This is simply another world. Officers Marvin and Elliot sighed. At the first glance, the Underground Research Institute gave them a very deep impression. The Research Institute is completely different from the sewers in front of it. The sewers are full of rough pipes, and the stench rises to the sky. But here, the outermost edge of Umbrella's Research Institute is high-strength titanium metal walls. The unique texture of metal flows throughout the entrance, and the sunlight-like indicator light shines into the deepest part. Marvin and the others felt like they had entered the future world. In their eyes, even Lion seemed to have become much softer when faced with this sci-fi-like base. He no longer uses his fists to open block doors like before. Instead, let the Iron Guy do the data cracking. Of course, the actual situation is that there is no electronic door in the sewer for Jarvis to crack, and the fastest way is for Leon to wave his fist. There was another click, and Jarvis easily invaded the base that required researcher permission to enter. A heavy gate with 3 floors outside the base slowly rose. The 5 people present were automatically given advance permissions. Every time they come to a door, An intelligent system will automatically open the door. Compared to the outside, there are almost only humanoid zombies in the Research Institute. Lion directly sent Jarvis to clean up, while a few of his own people waited in place. The few people who stopped temporarily began to explore and search the surrounding rooms. As a result, we actually found the diaries of many researchers. The diaries of these people almost all recorded the general process of the outbreak of the biochemical crisis, from the beginning when someone was accidentally infected during the experiment to when that person turned into a zombie and was dealt with by security forces. Then everyone became in danger, the virus leaked, and creatures like mice began to bring the virus to the ground. I didn't expect it to be like this at first. Oh my God. Director Bard rubbed the corners of his eyes. I thought only my team was doing this research. Marvin comforted him. Dr. Bud, you were just forced by people with bad intentions. What we have to do now is to save everything. The two of them were chatting happily, and Ada also approached Arnie Birkin on the other side. Leon was checking past records on the computer in the security room. Suddenly, the mobile phone communication in his bag opened, and Jarvis's voice came out. Master, the mutated creatures inside the base have been cleared away. But I found a tyrant-like creature. It's chasing a little girl hiding in the corner. Do you want me to rescue her? Little girl? Is it Shirley Birkin? Leon picked up the phone. Shirley Birkin was the daughter of Arnie and William. In the game, William was forced to be injected with the G virus and turned into a monster. His brain was affected and he was filled with the desire to reproduce the virus. However, this virus can only be stably transmitted between parents. Non-parental transmission can lead to rapid death of the infected person. Therefore, William, who becomes a monster in the game, has been chasing his daughter, Shirley, throughout the game. Shirley was later rescued by Leon S. Kennedy and Claire in the game. In the end, she even became one of the heroines of the 6th generation of the game. Leon thought for a while. You take Shirley to lure that monster over and let me deal with it. The Super Mark I's firepower was enough to kill William. However, people infected with the G virus can continue to mutate and regenerate just like the trackers they fought before. If Jarvis is really allowed to deal with William, then the Research Institute will probably be destroyed as well. Wait for Jarvis to give a positive answer. Leon immediately took everyone back to the platform, waiting for Jarvis to return from attracting monsters. The area here on the platform is spacious and suitable for fighting. Facing a few people with confused faces, Leon stood at the front. A strong enemy is coming, and we are here to fight against it. A few minutes later, the steel armor held a little blonde girl in its arms, spitting out long-tail flames, and stopped suddenly above the crowd. Shirley, Yanni suddenly shouted to the little girl, "Why are you here?" "Mommy." The little girl was a little happy, but not too excited. "It was this Iron Man who saved me." Jarvis landed and let go of his hand, and the little girl immediately pounced on Yanni. Ada, who had been restraining Yanni, was also a little dazed. At the age of 23, she still had little experience. Seeing that her enemy was the mother of a little girl, her strength relaxed a little. So much so that Yanni broke free from the restraints and held Shirley in her arms. "Shirley, I'm sorry. Mom hasn't been to see you these days." Yanni rubbed Shirley's head. Shirley said timidly, "Mommy, Dad has become so scary, he wants to catch me." Yanni was stunned for a moment and looked at her daughter intently, her eyes shaking as if she had thought of something. "He didn't hurt you or give you anything to eat, right?" "No, Dad hasn't caught me yet." Shirley shook her head. Yanni breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this, but her eyes started to struggle, and the struggle in her heart was fierce. "Sorry, Shirley, I have to do this." Yanni suddenly said something incomprehensible. She hugged Shirley hard. Her expression became decisive, as if she had made some determination. Then she turned back at lightning speed, grabbed the gun in Ada's hand, turned it around, and actually wanted to shoot Shirley. However, Ada reacted quickly and directly twisted Yanni's arm and pressed her to the ground. "What are you doing? That's your daughter." Her voice was cold. "Just because she is my and William's daughter, I can't let her live." Yanni struggled, but was determined. Except for Lion, Everyone present felt unbelievable. What kind of mother does this have to be to say such cruel words in a ruthless tone? Little Shirley fell to the ground, kicking her calves on the ground and retreating, completely at a loss. "Mom, Mommy." Yanni noticed the strange looks from everyone and retorted with a fierce face. "You don't understand anything. You don't understand what kind of monster it is. We must not let the G virus spread. Otherwise, the world will be over. If Shirley stays here, William will infect her and turn her into a monster. Even if she is sent out, William will also chase her out. So, in order to prevent the G virus from spreading, I can't let Shirley stay. And you'd better not think about the G virus. It's the key to destroying the world." Marvin stepped forward with an unkind expression. "No matter what you say, it's not the reason for you to kill your daughter." "Excuse me, William Birkin, is that the monster in front of you?" Leon suddenly spoke. He twisted his neck. "Mrs. Birkin, have you ever considered the possibility that killing your husband can also prevent him from continuing to spread the virus?" "What did you say?" Arnie Birkin looked like she was looking at a fool. "You know nothing about his power." "Really?" Leon took the initiative to greet William Birkin, who had just ran out of the research institute. Chapter 68 Vaccine Research. William Birkin staggered out of the institute's facility door. His figure became clear under the lighting. The right half of the body becomes huge, and huge eyes grow on the arm. Various scarlet muscle lines tore apart the shackles of the skin and knitted together. The left half was transformed into a normal zombie, and its withered white eyes locked onto little Shirley in the crowd. Roar! It roared, and its body seemed to be a bit bigger, like a beast that had been hungry for several days and finally found food. It lowered its head and charged, its ferocious right hand opened in the air, trying to clear away everything that stood in its way. Leon, who was standing at the front, rushed forward without giving in. It's just that his tall body actually looks a bit smaller under the opponent's huge arms. Everyone couldn't help but feel a little worried. They know how good Lion is. But according to Yanni, this monster is even more powerful, as if it is unstoppable. Under tension, Ada and Marvin even raised their pistols and started taking aim, intending to cover Lion's retreat. The confrontation between the two sides lasted only a moment. The monster William Birkin transformed into his fast. But Lion is faster. He rushed forward, twisted around at a speed that could not be caught by the naked eye, and threw an uppercut. So there was no doubt that William Birkin's head exploded like a sun-baked watermelon. In the dull eyes of everyone, Leon silently closed his fist and turned around, his body still spotless. He twisted his wrist, and the headless corpse collapsed behind him. "How powerful do you think it is?" He looked at Yanni. Yanni's face trembled, not wanting to believe what she saw. She said with a trembling voice, You will only promote his own mutation. He will soon become stronger. You'd better." Before she could finish her words, Leon turned around again and released heat rays at William's body. In just a few seconds, there were no ashes on the ground. There was only a handful of carbon ash. Most of them were dispersed by Leon's gentle blow. The monster in the game that can transform into the 4th or even 5th level has just completed its curtain call. "What now?" Leon turned and asked. Yanni was completely silent. In fact, she had been struggling before whether to kill her mutated husband William, but she had never been able to make the decision. It's fine now. She doesn't have to make a choice anymore. That hateful young man ruined everything. Yanni stared blankly at the carbon ash at Leon's feet. She stood up like a zombie. Ada frowned and did not immediately restrain her again. Everyone watched as Yanni walked up to the pile of charcoal ash, gently picked it up, and put it close to her face. Silent tears flowed down without knowing when. "Mommy." Little Shirley ran up timidly, but just hugged Leon's thigh and did not dare to step forward. Yanni ignored Shirley. She stood up quietly and walked quietly into the base. No one spoke at this time. Half a minute later, a gunshot was heard in the institute. "Mommy." Shirley's eyes turned red, but she hugged Leon's thigh even tighter. It was obvious that Mr. and Mrs. Birkin cared little for their family. They don't have that deeper relationship with Shirley. Shirley was first chased by the monster that William turned into and was almost shot by Yanni on the grounds of justice. She has lost all support in this world at this time, whether material or spiritual. everything is lost. But she remembered that the Iron Man said that the big brother in front of her was the one who ordered her rescue. She could only hold on to Leon now, like grabbing a life-saving straw. Leon pursed his lips and touched Shirley's little head, but did not comfort her. With such a complicated family tragedy, any comfort from outsiders is in vain. More importantly, we still have to let the little girl come out on her own. Let's go in. It's been emptied inside. We need to make a new vaccine as soon as possible. He involved Shirley in everyone's work. Marvin, Elliot, you and Jarvis are going to collect resources in the Institute. You need all kinds of resources. King Ada, you can do what you want to do. It's up to you to steal the G-virus or do other things. Bud, come with me and help me develop a vaccine. Shirley, if you can you come and help everyone? Pass them a cup of coffee or something. By the way, one more thing. Jarvis, terminate and destroy the self-destruct program of this institute. Don't get halfway through your research and the base will be blown up. Everyone agreed and then dispersed. Even Shirley wiped her eyes, glanced at the room that Yanni had entered before, bit her lip, and ran to the kitchen to make coffee. But King Ada stopped Leon. Did you know that my identity was fake? When did it happen? When I first saw you. Oh, then why did you ask me to follow you all the way? I heard that you're a freelance agent and work for many forces at the same time. That's right. Are you interested in working with me in the future, saving the world or something like that? You want to recruit me? Huh. Sounds very interesting. I will consider it carefully. Leon, before leaving, King Ada tried to lift Leon's chin with his fingers. After being dodged, he winked and gave a cool smile. Nice to meet you. And thank you. She turned around, waved, and walked into the inner passage. As expected of Aunt Wong, she loves to pretend to be mysterious even in her 20s. Leon muttered, retracted his gaze, grabbed Bud, and flew to the research room. On the other side, Hongshore subway station. Jill Valentine said goodbye to others in front of the subway that was about to depart. Jill, are you sure you want to go find Brother Stark? The Raccoon City Police Department is not close to here. Carlos suggested, I think it would be better for you to leave the city with the others. He said he would save the city, and I believe him, Carlos. I have to go, as long as I can help a little bit. Gil checked the ammunition. Carlos sighed helplessly. I really don't know where your trust comes from. Do you still have doubts about him after seeing him take action? Gil picked up a rifle and asked. I have to admit, he does look like a savior. Well, when my mission is over, I will go find you too. Carlos scratched his head. Jill put the fingers of her right hand together and waved in the air. Then I'll see you at the police station. After saying that, she turned around and ran into the burning street. 2 hours later, the antiviral serum and vaccine corresponding to the T-virus. Airborne version done. Leon looked at the 2 test tubes of red potion in his hand and snapped his fingers. He casually handed the test tube to Bud. Take it for experiments on mice, especially to see if the vaccine can work through the air. In order to improve the scope of the vaccine, he directly modified the way the T-virus spreads. In the past, the T-virus could only be transmitted through liquids and blood. Now, after his modification, the virus can be spread through direct exposure to the air. In the movie version of Resident Evil, the original solution of the virus that infected the world was even less effective than the new T-virus he created. The current new T-virus and the C-virus that are catching up to the future in terms of transmission efficiency have the initial possibility of annihilation. Fortunately, while Lion opened Pandora's box, he also developed an air-diffused version of the vaccine and locked it. Another half hour passed. Mr. Lion, the vaccine and serum worked on all the mice. Jarvis predicted that the difference in their effectiveness in humans would not exceed 0.3%. What's the scope of the vaccine? As you might expect, after diffusing in the air, it will be effective for less than half an hour within a range of 30 meters. Very good. Let Marvin and the others start the production workshop and start mass production of the new T-virus vaccine and serum. Leon said, and took another bottle of dark purple liquid. And this, the new G-virus serum. Let's experiment with it too. Bud's hands were shaking a little, and he looked at Leon with a look of shock. Have you even developed the airborne version of the G-virus? That's not true. The G virus hasn't infected a large area yet, so I don't need to study its spread version of the vaccine. Lyon said, "This is a powerful anti-G virus serum that can save people who have been infected for less than 20 hours. Bud immediately breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly took the vaccine. "Okay, I'll go experiment now." At this time, Leon picked up the coffee that Shirley had brewed and took a sip. "The next step is to conduct my own research." Chapter 69 virus and return to the police station 6.5 hours later. Leon rubbed his forehead and returned to the lobby of the east area of the Institute. Marvin and others immediately surrounded him. It was already 7 o'clock in the morning on September 29th. "Brother Leon, do you need to take a break?" Little Shirley asked, holding a box. In that box were the ashes of and Birkin, who had been cremated with everyone's help a few hours ago. It also contains some of William Birkin's charcoal dust. "No, I'm just a little upset," Leon waved his hand. In the past 5 hours, he combined the information of the ancestor virus with the T virus and G virus to develop a new type of virus. When a superbrain's computing power is fully activated. Although he did not conduct research for a long time, his results were better than those of William and others combined for decades. The prototype of S-type virus. This is the name he gave the new virus. This virus is the most widely transmissible and deadly. It can spread in the air, is extremely vital, and will not lose activity within 6 hours after exposure. Once infected, he initially predicted that the chance of the patient turning into a zombie would be over 90%. And it will turn into a super zombie that is extremely powerful and difficult to kill. But just survive. The infected person can retain their sanity intact, gain absolute physical strengthening, and have the ability to regenerate. However, in terms of airborne transmission efficiency, it is still much worse than ordinary pneumonia infectious diseases. The breath or droplets of an infected person does not directly cause the spread of the virus. Only when the infected person's body fluids and blood are exposed and a large amount of virus is enriched will it spread under the action of transpiration. But even there are certain limitations. As long as the effects of this virus are known to Spencer, Weskier, and others, they will definitely shout that this is the ladder of human evolution and immediately start promoting the plan of global evolution. Even when the virus was successfully synthesized, Leon felt the excitement coming from the consciousness of the world. But it's a pity that he doesn't need such a virus. What he needs is a medicine that is 100% successful and can enhance the human body's regeneration ability. After all, this is used to heal Tony's body. It will be terrible if Tony turns into a zombie. Taking into account the problem of excessive mutation probability, maybe after solving the crisis in Raccoon City, he will have to go to Europe. It is believed that after combining the characteristics of placoparasite and E-mold, the prototype of the S virus can evolve more perfectly. But before that, he may have to go back to Marvel. You have to at least look at the difference in time flow between the two worlds. Last time, Leon took advantage of the opportunity. He also took out a drop of his own blood and tried to infect Kryptonian blood with the prototype of the S virus. Since awakening his ability, his blood, which was no different from that of ordinary people, has added Kryptonian factors. In other words, it turned into the bloodline of Kryptonians and Earthlings merging with each other. So there is nothing wrong with calling his blood Kryptonian blood. However, the experimental results were very bad. When the two come into contact in the container, the Kryptonian blood swallowed up the prototype of the S virus in an instant. And it also has a will to reproduce crazily. Just a few breaths. The Kryptonian blood that swallowed the prototype of the S-type virus seemed to be alive and began to corrode the container, trying to escape into the air. If it were really allowed to escape, the S-virus prototype would be airborne, coupled with the superactivity of Kryptonian blood. Leon didn't dare to think about what would happen in the end. Anyway, at that second, the consciousness of the world seemed to be going crazy and kept sending out emotions of fear and despair to him. He can only destroy it instantly with a heat ray. In the end, the glass container turned into ashes on the test bench, letting Leon know he probably still has a long way to go in bloodline research. So when he walked out of the laboratory, he rubbed his forehead distractedly. Bud, How are the production results and experimental results of the vaccine and serum? Leon turned to ask Bud. He conveniently held the syringe containing the prototype of the Golden S virus in his hand, handed it to Jarvis, and asked him to put it away. All other traces of the prototype of the S virus in the laboratory were destroyed by him. Even after leaving the laboratory, he deliberately destroyed the entire room to ensure that no one would break in later. The only S virus stock solution now is the one in his hand. The experiment with the G virus serum went very smoothly. At least currently, organisms that have been infected within 5 hours can be cured after being injected with the serum. Director Bader took the report. The new T virus vaccine and serum have been produced in sufficient quantities to cover the entire Raccoon City, and the antiviral bombs modified with the new serum were also produced with the help of Mr. Jarvis, and the number exceeded 500. Leon nodded. Enough. Now we can get started and roll out the vaccine across the city. I believe in a few hours, Raccoon City will be back to its original appearance. Marvin and Elliot stood up straight at this moment. It seemed like they even wanted to give a standard hand-raising salute. We're going to carry the bomb right now, Mr. Lion. Marvin saluted as expected and left with Elliot eagerly. Remember to bring Jarvis with you. Leon asked Jarvis to control the armor to help. Then he looked at King Ada, who was leaning against the wall. I thought you had already left and weren't in a hurry to hand over the G virus to your boss. After not seeing each other for a few hours, Ada seemed to have taken a bath in the Institute and even changed a set of clothes. At this time, she was wearing a red jacket and black slim-fitting pants, looking very stylish. That was already the last boss. Ada put on a pair of sunglasses. Now I find that I have found a better boss. She walked toward Lion with cross steps, and there was a graceful arc between her waist and hips. Do you want to establish a long-term employment relationship with me, Boss Lion? Ada raised her chin slightly. The past 9 hours, she finally saw the excellence of the big boy in front of her. Not only does he have unimaginable power, but he also has an astonishing brain, and most importantly, he has a righteous heart. Such people are like the dazzling sun wherever they go. Ada must admit that she had a vague idea in her heart of getting closer to the sun, and it would be best to bathe in the sunshine every day. In layman's terms, she had a strong curiosity about this man. Ada decided to stay with Leon for the time being and observe the savior found by the consciousness of this world. Is this considered an application? Leon raised his eyebrows in surprise. He also thought that a free agent like Ada would not be willing to be subordinate to others. If you're applying for a job, do you think you're qualified? Ada said, I barely passed. Congratulations on being admitted. Remember to call me boss from now on. You can raise your salary yourself. Leon smiled happily. Only if I earn some legal income in this world. Does that mean I'm a free employee now? Ada raised her lips. Or do you want to pay with something else? Sorry, our company's interns just don't get paid. Leon would not take the bait. He had long been hooked by Natasha. Come on, Shirley, I'll carry you on my back. It's almost time for us to leave this place. Leon turned around and picked up Shirley. Ada behind him was not angry, but the expression on her face became more meaningful, and she followed slowly. Half an hour later, everyone got ready and took the cable car back again. After returning to the sewer, it was another difficult trek. Only this time, Leon had a Shirley on his back, an Ada King hanging around his neck, and a pile of wooden boxes containing bombs in his hands. Not only him, but Marvin and others also had wooden boxes in their arms. When he returned to the police station, the fat police officer thought that the group of people had returned from purchasing goods. At some point, there were more than a dozen survivors in the police station. The survivors were extremely excited after hearing that the boxes were full of antiviral bombs and vaccines. At this time, the old Father Kendo also came to Lion with his daughter Emma, bowed and thanked him, and expressed his endless gratitude. Kendo, it's boring to say thank you too much. Just do more of your work when the bomb is dropped later. Leon touched little Emma's head casually. Marvin said you're the best gunsmith here. Remember to protect yourself and your daughter. Well, what about me? Shirley, who had been standing behind Leon, now grabbed the corner of his clothes. The girl held the urn, her shoulders huddled together, looking forward to it. Shirley's look made Leon slightly dazed. He thought of himself when he was 1 year old and had just awakened his memory. At that time, he was as uneasy as little Shirley. It's just that he still has Tony, but little Shirley has nothing. There was no one present that Shirley knew before today. They were all strangers. The world was not friendly to her at all. But she is brave. At least she dares to find support. Leon bent down and touched Shirley's head again. Okay. Let me protect Shirley. Shirley suddenly smiled happily, hugging the urn and wiping away her tears while laughing. Chapter 70, Saving the City and Farewell Leon. A shout came from the door of the police station. Jill Valentine, still wearing a blue denim vest, opened the door and walked in. Behind her were Brad and Carlos. Jill. Leon didn't expect to see Jill here. Thank you, Leon. Before he could say a word, Jill ran over and gave Leon a deep hug. Ada, who was opening a wooden box not far away and preparing to load a bomb, heard the voice and came over. She looked at the two people hugging each other, her expression unchanged, but her eyelids were slightly depressed. Jill hugged her for a few seconds before letting go. I really didn't expect you to actually save Brad. He was infected just to cover me before. I don't know what to say, Leon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Leon has heard too many thanks today. Brad, who had recovered from the other side, also came over and introduced himself after thanking him profusely. Leon could only wave his hands and say it was all trivial matters. The big thing was to save the citizens of Raccoon City who were in dire straits. He felt that he had to give these people something to do quickly. Otherwise, the police department will almost become a cult of praise, the kind that only praises him. Jill, why are you here? He first introduced the topic. I'm here to find you. You want to save Raccoon City, and I hope I can help, Jill said. But when I first arrived, there were only Lau, Xian, and Brad here, so I went out to look for other survivors. Seeing Leon again, she seemed to have a lot to say. Before the words came out of my mouth, my eyes were already talking. But then Ada came over and said, Boss, when we set off? Huh, boss. Gil was stunned for a moment. Aren't you from another world? This person is also from your world? Of course not. I am Ada Wong, a former federal agent, now serving boss. Ada Wong is using a fake identity again. She stood next to Leon very naturally, as if she was a very close party, which made Jill's eyes freeze slightly. Speaking of which, I actually have many names, and King Ada is just one of them. She said suddenly, Then what's your original name? Leon was very interested in this topic. In the previous game, Ada was very mysterious, and no one knew her specific background. My previous name is no longer important. When I met you, boss, I was called Ada. I will also be called Ada from now on. King Ada's words were astonishing, making everyone around him silent at the same time. All kinds of eyes focused on her. Marvin and others were stunned. Bud was thoughtful. Shirley was confused, and Jill was stunned. At this moment, Jarvis's low-pitched reminder came to Leon's ears. Master, Mr. Stark asked me to remind you, when encountering such a situation, to be careful of strangers' deception. Jarvis knew that Leon had super hearing, so he stood in the distance and spoke with the high-frequency sound emitted by the armor. Leon couldn't help but slap him on the face. This Tony is still meddling in other people's business, even though he is a world away. Tony, Ada's indifferent expression froze, not understanding why another person's name suddenly appeared. Okay, Ada, I'm touched, really. Leon explained immediately. However, Ada's eyes were subtle, and her mood probably couldn't return to before. That Tony must be very important to you? Or does this Miss Ada look like Tony? Jill couldn't help laughing at the side, and she didn't even hide it. After hearing this, Ada turned around and looked at Jill, both of them having inexplicable meanings in their eyes. Ahem. Okay, why are you standing there? Hurry up and act. Don't just sit here and watch. It was the old policeman Marvin who knew the atmosphere, stood up and gave instructions loudly. The lively scene soon resumed in the hall. More than 10 minutes later, everyone got armed, and a team of 3 people left the police station and began to go to various neighborhoods in Raccoon City to release vaccines. Leon did not go with these people. In order to increase efficiency, He is responsible for freezing the outer layer of the entire city with his freezing breath. Jarvis and others are responsible for eliminating zombies and spreading vaccines. What they have to do is very simple. That is, throw out vaccines when they encounter people and throw out antiviral bombs when they encounter zombies. The antiviral bomb is a scattering bomb that shoots out numerous fine needles containing serum after the explosion. These fine needles are inserted into the zombie body, and the serum is also injected into it. It won't take long for the virus in the zombie to be inactivated, and the zombie itself will die accordingly. The mechanism of action of vaccines is even simpler. The vaccine, after the container is broken, will naturally evaporate and spread to the nearby area, allowing everyone who comes into contact to naturally develop antibodies. Lion was flying the air from the beginning, carrying Shirley on his back. He floated on the edge of the city and flew along the outer buildings. He exhaled freezing breath as he flew. Soon the entire city's surface turned into a world of frost. All zombies on the streets are frozen. Lion lowered the temperature this time. The zombies, like ice statues, all died one after another in the process of rapid freezing, because the cells in their body were pierced by the ice formed in the body. As for the remaining zombies in the house, I will leave it to everyone to clean up slowly. With the new vaccine and serum, everything will go smoothly. But the efficiency of ordinary people's actions is still too low. 2 hours later, the people responsible for cleaning up the city returned to the police station. This time, Leon has even returned to the Institute once to disinfect and sterilize his entire body. But when everyone gathered in the police station lobby again, everyone's face was filled with excitement and joy. The Raccoon City Rescue Plan has successfully come to an end and has been successfully completed. It's a pity that World Consciousness did not send more gifts at this time. It seems that the other party doesn't care about the redemption of a little Raccoon City. Leon, you saved this city. Marvin and Jill took everyone to thank Leon. There were thousands of people in the police station at this time, many of whom were survivors gathered on the road. They learned what had happened. At this time, thousands of people chanted Leon's name at the same time, and the momentum seemed to break through the dome of the police station. Leon was not very interested in such a scene. Just like Tony's speech, he didn't make a long speech, but just used a few words like, "You are the real heroes," to deal with it. Half an hour later, Marvin, Jill, and others gathered in the conference room after settling the survivors. Lion got straight to the point. "I'm going to leave temporarily and return to my world for a while." Seeing everyone's faces beginning to show anxious expressions, he pressed his hands down to indicate that he should finish speaking first. "Don't worry, I will be back soon. I am leaving now just to test the time flow rate of the two worlds and to ensure that I will not leave my own world for too long. I'll have Jarvis stay here to help you before I leave. It has collected all evidence of Umbrella's crimes and can publish them online at any time as long as you are ready. In addition, Umbrella has used this place as a testing ground, and Eagle Sauce officials may not have a positive attitude, so you'd better be prepared to evacuate in advance. I suspect that no matter which party discovers the changes here, they will destroy the city to erase the traces. Don't miss me too much, friends. I'll be back soon." Lion said goodbye in a relaxed state, but the people in front of him who had only been with him for a few hours became extremely reluctant to part with him. Many times emotions come out of nowhere. Some people may become strangers even after being together for several years. But sometimes just one thing or a word can make one person have a crush on another person. "Are you sure you'll come back?" Ada Wong looked at Leon steadily. "My salary hasn't been paid yet." Leon hugged her gently. "Is this considered salary? It's still far away." King Ada put his hand on Leon's chest, and his fingertips slid down his perfect muscle lines. "It's almost done now. He is a good figure, big boy." Leon was speechless and snapped his fingers. "Jarvis, assist everyone in their work and cooperate with us in combat when necessary." After speaking, he touched Shirley's little head and told her to listen to Ada and Jill. He gave everyone present a hug again. Finally, he waved to everyone. "I'm leaving. See you all." The words fell. Leon closed his eyes and activated his ability to travel. There is no need to search the world when you go back. In a chaotic space, bubbles representing the Marvel world automatically emerged. Behind that bubble, there seemed to be a huge group of chaotic bubbles following. But except for the world when they came, the other bubbles were all shrouded in misty darkness. Leon knew that was the Marvel multiverse. He chose to return and pay the same energy as when he came. Next moment, Leon disappeared from everyone's eyes. Another time, traveling without any spatial fluctuations. After everyone was surprised, there was silence. To be honest, I'm starting to miss him now. Marvin joked in the dull atmosphere. He was really honest and never deceived us from beginning to end. We are lucky for the world consciousness to find such a savior. You know, we had a new person coming to the police station yesterday. His name is also Leon, but his name is Leon S. Kennedy. Elliot also echoed, "Yes, I thought Mr. Lion was the new guy at first, aha." However, I don't know what happened to the newcomer, but he was already late all day. I hope he is still alive and safe and as good as Mr. Lion, so that everyone will be willing to applaud him. Chapter 71 Return and Time Difference Marvel Universe. Stark Mansion in Los Angeles. DDDD. As soon as Leon appeared in the basement, all the instruments and lights turned red, and the alarm bell rang urgently like a reminder. I held up the disinfectant spray, rolled the pulley, and ran towards him, spraying it at him. Bin raised the fire spray on the other side, also ready to go. Okay. Stop. Am I a home invasion robber? Are you so aggressive? Leon waved to Bin repeatedly. The alarm bells and red lights then stopped. Master, you are finally back. It seems that your life in another world is not going well. Jarvis's voice appeared. Finally? How long have I been away? It's been more than 10 years, right? Leon's heart skipped a beat. If more than 10 years had passed, the Shuaming incident might have happened. 12 hours and 37 minutes have passed since you left, and it is now 7:49 the next morning. Leon raised an eyebrow. I've only been walking for 12 hours, and you used the word finally? Jarvis, I think it is necessary for you to reload the program logic of choosing words and sentences. Master, these are the words I chose based on the changes in Mr. Stark's mental state after you left. Jarvis said, So Tony misses me very much? Leon couldn't help laughing. I think so. 3 hours ago, he would ask if you were back once every 7 minutes on average. What about the 3 hours just now? Was it once a minute? Mr. Stark fell asleep 3 hours ago. Now he has received an alarm and is rushing down. I just thought I heard you guys talking bad about me. Tony suddenly popped up from the stairs. He was wrapped in a white scarf and ran over as soon as he got out of bed. Look who's Peter Pan is finally willing to go home. Could it be that he was wronged outside and came back to complain? As soon as Tony saw Leon, his excited expression instantly became extremely lazy, and he fell on a chair with crooked steps. Isn't this because I'm afraid that the empty nesters at home will be lonely? Leon felt a little funny. I didn't expect, Tony, that you can't live without me so much. It's only been 12 hours, and you've already started calling my name in your dreams. Do I have to come back quickly? I called you by your name in the dream. Just kidding. Tony smiled, unable to laugh anymore. Did Jarvis say that? What do you think? Shet, watch your language, Tony. Leon sat on the table next to Tony. Sir, I never told Master Lion that you shouted about him in his sleep 17 times in the past 3 hours. Jarvis complained. Tony slapped his face. Good, you said it now. Sorry, sir. Tony rolled his neck helplessly and looked at Leon again. So, you are suffering in another world? Why do you say that? Leon was puzzled. Jarvis just said the same thing. Tony spread his hands and deliberately looked around. It's very obvious that your Super Mark 1 is lost, along with the Jarvis subsystem inside. His guess makes sense. After all, Leon was still wearing his armor when he left, but he was alone when he came back. Something must have happened. So that's what you're talking about. Leon suddenly realized, I left the armor there on purpose. The situation in that world is like this. He briefly told the process of his time travel and what happened in the world of Resident Evil. It's just that the part about studying the fusion of Kryptonian blood and viruses was omitted. Tony touched his chin and thought, world consciousness and viruses are very interesting. But one thing is strange. You also spent 12 hours in that world? That's right. You want to say that the time flow rate on both sides is the same. Leon nodded. I also thought of this. It's amazing, right? Tony clapped his hands. That's the problem. He took a box and a pencil and inserted the pencil into the box. You must know that in space, under different gravity, time flows at different speeds. Come on, don't tell me you don't know. Tony was as serious as if he were in class. Leon nodded in confusion. Of course I know this, the theory of relativity. According to the theory of general relativity, the greater the gravity in the universe, the slower the flow of time will be. Very good. Tony stabbed the pencil through the box. He pointed to the pencils on both sides of the box. Suppose this box separates two universes, and this pencil has traveled through the past. The left part of the box has more space. The right part has less space. The location where the two of them were at this time was in the front half of the garage, and the size of the space was an appropriate metaphor. So, Tony said, assume that the larger part of the space has a greater mass, and the smaller part has a smaller mass. Do you think the time flow rate will be the same on both sides? Leon was stunned. It's different unless the mass of the two universes is equal, and the space mass of the part of the Earth where I am located is also equal. That's right. Tony put down the box and snapped his fingers. But the chance of this happening is incredibly small. Do you still think it's reasonable for the two worlds to have the same time flow rate? An electric light flashed across Leon's mind. He frowned, suddenly realizing he would feel that the time flow rate in the two worlds should be the same. In fact, it's because it's written like this in many novels I've read before. So he subconsciously thought so. However, in fact, it is probably his thoughts that lead to the same flow rate of time. Tony looked at Leon's astonished expression before continuing. I think you are traveling between two worlds. In fact, you are probably also traveling through time. It doesn't mean that our world will stop functioning after you leave. The huge universe will not stop and wait for you just because of your little energy. The truth of the matter is that when you came back, it was at this point in time. It is up to you to decide which time to cut into, the moment you leave or a period of time after you leave. And if you choose different time entry points, your own consumption may be different. You need to experiment with this a few times yourself. Tony once again felt the joy of educating his younger brother and patted Leon on the shoulder proudly. You have to think more. It's not enough to have a good brain. You have to think more, kid. Tony looked like he was experienced. If he had a different cultural background, he would probably say that he has eaten more salt than lion has walked. Leon looked at Tony helplessly. You're good this time? Okay. He sighed. So Tony became even happier and hummed a tune. Okay, take your time and be proud. I will try to travel back in time now. Leon chose to let Tony be beautiful alone. Wait a minute. Tony stood up suddenly, his white scarf slipping off. You have to take me with you this time. It's just 1% of the energy. One more person doesn't matter. It's very dangerous. Don't be infected with the virus as soon as you go there. Leon glanced around and discovered that there was a triangular light on Tony's chest. Huh, you installed the reactor again. So, the new elements were successfully synthesized. Tony smiled proudly. Yes, it was synthesized 2 hours after you left. I call it potassium. What do you think? The corner of Leon's mouth twitched. How should I put it? It's pretty awesome. If Dad knew you named the new element like this, I would definitely get up and punch you. Sorry, the old guy's been cremated and can't get up. Tony has a talent for telling hell jokes. So, do you want me to come with you or not? Well, I have to think about it. By the way, who just said that I don't like to think? Who is it? Who dares to say that to you? Why is this person so annoying? Tony pretended to look left and right. Chapter 72, Desperate Virus. Leon finally agreed to Tony's request to accompany him. After all, the world of Resident Evil poses no threat to the two brothers. Even if you accidentally contract the virus, there are already developed vaccines and serum just in case. Just think of it as taking Tony on vacation. I remember the last family trip was when I graduated from junior high school. Tony, Pepper, the three of them went to Dubai together. We agreed to travel, but ended up having a 3-day party at a villa in Dubai. He had just graduated from junior high school and almost graduated there again. Going to Biohazard together this time is just like making up for my high school graduation trip. Leon dialed Natasha's phone in his bedroom. Because before Tony leaves, he needs to install some recording equipment on the suit to record the process of time travel. so he had to wait a few more hours. While waiting, he suddenly remembered that a virus also appeared in the Iron Man movie. The name is Extremis virus. This virus can give the host super regeneration, super strength, speed, and other extraordinary abilities. Some hosts also have the ability to create fire and electricity. This virus may be available and used as a reference for the development of S-virus. So Leon immediately contacted Natasha. What's the mission? As soon as the call was connected, Natasha got straight to the point. Why are you so straightforward? Can it be that I want to care about the living conditions of my dear subordinates? Leon said harshly. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning, and I really can't think of anything else that a man who just refused to pay me his salary 4 days ago would do if he calls me at this time other than arranging tasks. Leon didn't expect Natasha to be so resentful. Okay, there is a mission. You said that I am in an office building in New York and the surroundings are safe now. Natasha said that no one eavesdropped on the conversation. Do we have a widow working undercover at Pioneer Technology? I need a virus called Extremis that they are researching. Leon stated his intention. Natasha was silent for a few seconds, seemingly looking up information. The widow, codenamed Trish, previously worked there as a mid-level researcher. She responded quickly. You can go to Tennessee to pick up the virus reagents in 3 hours, or I will send them to you in Los Angeles at 2 p.m. Natasha's work efficiency is sky high. Let me go, it's faster this way. Leon couldn't help but click his tongue. I have to say, the sisters are really amazing. Then you can spend more time drinking with them. They have been thinking about you for a long time. That's it, hang up. Natasha hung up the phone directly. Leon was stunned for a moment, threw his phone on the table, and curled his lips. It's outrageous for a subordinate to dare to bite his boss. 3 hours later, the former Red House safe house in Tennessee. Leon was taken into the house by Natasha. This is a cabin in the woods. From the outside, it looks like a traditional Western-style pastoral wooden house. It is only 2 stories high and can accommodate a family of 5 at most. But after Leon walked into the underground darkroom of the wooden house, what I saw was a modern base with 4 floors of underground buildings. There was no one in the base, except for a few widows who had drinks with him twice. After seeing him, several people greeted him cordially and continued to go about their business. Natasha took Leon into the innermost control room. She took out a reagent and a USB flash drive from the safe. With the support of Trish, a few sisters outside, and I just stole this together. Do you want to use it for research? Natasha said. I looked at some research records, and it seems that there are still big problems. Thank you, Nada. Leon took the reagent and observed it in front of his eyes. I know there is something wrong with it. It's just that I'm researching a virus that can give humans super regenerative abilities. Maybe the Extremis virus can give me some inspiration. Regeneration. Natasha's eyes fluctuated slightly. Can it cure physical defects? Yes, but that virus still has serious side effects and cannot be used directly. Leon patted Natasha's arm, but I am confident that I can solve its flaws and very quickly. Then I'll be waiting. Natasha directly put her arm around Leon and caressed his hard chest muscles. So, this indifferent boss, can you give me your salary today? Here. Leon glanced around and saw that there was only one desk in the command room. As a result, Natasha followed his gaze, took cat steps, and sat on the desk, crossed her legs, and said, right here now. An hour and a half later, Leon helped Natasha put away her clothes, but she had fallen on the chair and couldn't stand up. My assessment is that it's best for people not to be addicted to drugs. Leon used his fingers to pinch Natasha's cheeks out of shape. Natasha rolled her eyes. You can't be gentler. You're slandering me. I have been complying with your needs. Leon straightened the battle-damaged version of Natasha on the chair. He turned and left. After the wages are paid, I will leave first. You can continue the task of liberating other widows. Remember to pay attention to safety and contact me if you have anything. Leon, Natasha suddenly shouted again. Do you know that Pioneer Technology is kidnapping beggars for human experiments? Leon was stunned for a moment. They are starting to do this kind of thing now? What do you mean by saying that? If you agree, it can become Stark's property in 2 days. Natasha said. Leon raised his eyebrows. It's great, of course I agree, but you have to pay attention to safety and contact you if I have anything to do, I know. Natasha smiled. It's good to know. I'm leaving. Leon picked up his trousers without taking away any clouds. Of course, he didn't forget to take away the extremist virus and the USB flash drive. 1 p.m., Stark Mansion basement. Where did you go just now? I didn't even find you a home, and Jarvis couldn't locate you. Tony put on his armor and put his hands on his hips. God knows how excited he was to be able to travel across the world. He has already modified his armor as fast as he could in his life. As a result, his stinky brother disappeared at the critical moment. For him, this is the same as not being able to find the toilet when he has diarrhea. I asked Natasha to help me get a copy of the extremist virus, which will be helpful for my research in another world. Leon gestured to the metal box in his hand. What is the extremist virus? Tony wondered. It's a biochemical virus developed by an old acquaintance of yours, Killian. Leon gave a rough introduction to the origin of the virus. Sounds like a good idea, although it's unlikely to achieve a stable injection. Tony nodded. But who is Killian? Do I know him? He urged impatiently. Stop talking about these irrelevant people now. Hurry up. Let's start traveling now. Okay, no problem. Leon put his hand on Tony's armor's shoulder and enveloped him with a biological force field. Then close your eyes. The consciousness once again sank into the dark space of searching the world. Chapter 73 World changes. It's no longer empty here. Instead, a bubble of chaos resides. As long as Leon's consciousness comes into contact, he can understand that the bubble represents the world of Resident Evil. And this world has been permanently open to him, with unconditional access. However, when he chose to travel back to the moment when he left Resident Evil, the energy requirement reflected by the shuttle ability is as high as 30% of the physical strength, a full 30 times that of his first time traveling. Leon tried to push back the time of crossing. I found that every day that passed, I lost 1% of my physical strength. It was postponed until the 30th day of his departure. It takes a lot of energy to return to the original 1%. Pushing back further on the 31st and 32nd days, the energy required has not changed at all. It is all 1% of physical strength. Tony is right. Leon thought thoughtfully. To travel to a past time in the world, you need to pay twice as much energy. If you travel to the future, the energy consumption will remain unchanged. This is equivalent to saying that I have only been back for 6 hours, but 30 days have passed in the Resident Evil world. He tried to choose a time when he was still in the world of Resident Evil, which was the night of September 28th. It turns out that that period of time cannot be selected. Even going forward, including the time when he had not experienced the biological crisis, he still had no choice. In other words, based on the time when I appeared in that world, the past cannot be traveled, but the future can be chosen at will. Leon mused. He then tried to use his shuttle ability to select Tony and mark him as another life that would follow him through time travel. As a result, the energy needed to be consumed skyrocketed instantly, reaching 11%. Leon then tried to tag the entire Stark Villa to follow through, but it was found that the energy requirement was still about 11% of physical strength. For him, the extra energy required after traveling through the villa is about the same as taking a breath of air conditioning. Carrying life across time consumes a huge amount of energy, but carrying matter consumes nothing. Leon probably understood the mechanism of shuttle ability and stopped studying it. He reminded Tony, "Get ready, it's about to begin." "It's been ready. Hurry. I can't wait to try the cheeseburger from another world." Tony shouted excitedly. Finally, in his consciousness, Leon confirmed that he had traveled to the time 30 days after he left the world of Resident Evil. The next moment, the two people disappeared from the spot. Resident Evil World, October 29th. In a tropical rainforest, two figures who were not supposed to belong here suddenly appeared, startling a flock of birds. After Leon opened his eyes, he immediately looked at Tony, who was wearing a battle armor next to him. He used his supervision to observe and confirm that Tony's body was still the same as before with kidney deficiency, and he was immediately relieved. He waited there for a few seconds. Suddenly, the steel suit trembled, the visor lit up, and Tony woke up. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw unfamiliar woods and wetlands. Tony subconsciously exclaimed, "Leon, are you awake? Your physical fitness still needs to be improved. I've been waiting for a long time." Leon joked, "So long? But I do feel like I slept." Tony patted his head through his visor. "Where is this? The Amazon forest. By the way, my recorder." Tony slapped himself awake. "Jarvis, did the recorder record the process of crossing? Especially the area of emptiness that Leon described." "Chet, why don't I feel that way at all? It's as if I just slept and came here." He was very annoyed. Jarvis said, "Sir, for unknown reasons in the garage just now, all the circuits of the armor were disconnected, and the instruments did not operate normally." "How come?" Tony looked disappointed. "Does that mean we didn't record anything?" "The circuit of the armor was actually disconnected at the beginning of the time travel," Leon said. "The same happened to me last time. I guess it's a protective mechanism. There's a saying that the amount of information outside the world is too huge for humans, and just a glance at it may cause brain death. So you slept soundly during the time travel. Maybe it was a kind of protection." Tony shook his head. "Maybe. So where are we now?" "You asked Jarvis to connect to the internet and try to search." Lion closed his eyes and began to listen to the voices of the world. All of a sudden, there were explosions, screams, quarrels, crying, roaring. Countless negative messages came to our faces. Leon suppressed the super hearing almost subconsciously. How could this happen? He was surprised. It was clear that the crisis in Raccoon City had been resolved when he left, and everything had been arranged, leaving Jarvis behind. Why did the sound I just heard sound like the whole world falling into an abyss? There's almost no place on the entire Earth that is not shrouded in gunpowder smoke. There were roars of artillery fire and sounds of wailing and wailing everywhere. What happened to this world in 30 days? While Leon was wondering, an invisible wave came. With a thought in his mind, he used his shuttle ability to connect to the wave. All kinds of complex emotions of ecstasy, resentment, depression, and joy suddenly rushed into his consciousness. Leon was stunned for a moment and sorted out the information. Leave, evolve, lose control, gift, save. Gift, save. The consciousness of the world repeats the emotion of asking for help. Leon realized, I'm afraid it was during the time he was away. What does world consciousness do? So much so that it pushed the world to the brink of loss of control. It's another gift. You wanted to wipe your A. What do you want to give this time? Leon felt that he had to raise the price. It would be best if his scientific research capabilities could be doubled or tripled. However, as soon as he conveyed his thoughts to the consciousness of the world, the other party immediately responded with helpless emotions. In other words, the previous improvement was already at the highest level. Are you such a waste? Leon couldn't help but curse. A cowardly mood suddenly appeared in the consciousness of the world, as if it were a trembling child. Then what else can you give me? Leon sighed. The words fell. Dots of white gold light suddenly appeared on the ground around him. Only he can see these lights. They gathered together, condensed into a larger light group, and then floated towards Lion, trying to merge into his body. Leon knew this was a gift and did not reject it. However, the next moment, as soon as the light ball integrated into the body, it was popped out again. Leon was stunned. Immediately, the world consciousness sent him more information. He understood after analysis. The light group in front of you can transform a human body into a physique that can perfectly adapt to all the products of the Resident Evil series. It can be said to be a positive reinforcement without side effects. However, just as the light group was about to begin to fuse, it was spontaneously expelled by the Iron Man's immune system. Apparently, his immune system thought this was a useless thing to weaken him. This kind of thing is useless to me. Leon felt a headache. That's right. He clapped his hands. You can fuse it with the person next to me. It's almost like giving it to me. World consciousness expresses submission. Then the ball of light swayed into Tony's body. At this time, Tony's mask popped open and he was looking at Leon like a fool. What are you doing? Are your synapses collapsing and suddenly causing epilepsy? Tony's words were sharp. What else is melting into me? Who are you talking to? Oh, what is this? Someone stuffed a hot water bottle on me. Tony suddenly jumped up, scratching his head and groping around randomly with his hands. He even took off his armor, ran out, lifted up his shirt, and groped carefully. You look more like crazy than you do, Leon complained. I was communicating with the world consciousness just now, and it transformed your body. This warm feeling all over my body is transformation? Does it turn me into a Kryptonian? Tony was stunned for a moment. No, it allows you to insert various local specific biological factors in the world into your body at will, and they can all be perfectly integrated. What kind of transformation is this? Tony threw his head back in disgust. It sounds like he's going to turn me into a Frankenstein. A gift from world consciousness is better than nothing. Just be content. Leon spread his hands indifferently, and then he received the emotions shared by the world's consciousness. Save. Evolve. More. Well, there are subsequent performance rewards. Let's understand the situation first. Leon flew up. It seems that some bad changes have taken place in this world. Tony also put on his suit again and took off. The two were floating side by side, and suddenly Jarvis's different voice came from the Mark IV on Tony's body. Master Lion, you are finally back. Jarvis's tone was always mechanical, but this time he seemed to be a little excited. Jarvis? Are you connected to the subsystems on Super Mark I? Leon asked. What happened while I was away? Why is there a war all over the world? Master Lion, a lot of things happened after you left. I'm afraid it's hard to explain at the moment. It's okay. Please keep your story short and focus on the key points. Leon motioned for Tony to fall back to the ground. Chapter 74, Destroy the World. In 30 days after the two landed, Tony took off his armor and let Jarvis play freely. Things will start after Master Lion leaves. On the morning of September 29th, after you leave, Miss Jill Valentine and Chief Marvin, leading the police, began to search for survivors across the city. By night, the entire city had been emptied out and more than 90% of the zombies had been eliminated. But as you warned, Umbrella Corporation discovered anomalies in the city. They airdropped 6 tyrants into the city, but fortunately, they were all killed by everyone using serum bombs. In order to avoid a more serious attack, Sheriff Marvin decided to take everyone out of Raccoon City overnight. The team of tens of thousands of people left in a mighty manner, and even the military who set up checkpoints outside the city did not dare to stop them. The deserted Raccoon City also made all parties lose interest. After several special teams were sent in but found nothing, no one even paid attention to this suddenly dilapidated city. One day later, everyone who couldn't wait for your return left temporarily. Police officers such as Jill and Marvin were suddenly transferred to the New York Police Department. Miss Shirley and Mr. Budd chose to leave with your newly acquired subordinate Ada King. Other survivors were also officially resettled, although the compensation they received was not great. However, after everything stabilized, Miss Ada Wong was attacked by the HCF organization because she did not submit the G virus. So she asked me to take Shirley and Bud and hide with her in the Canadian countryside. There, I connected to the internet and made all the evidence of Umbrella's crimes public. As Jarvis spoke, he also projected the video taken by the armor, with both pictures and text. During this period, Tony couldn't help but make a comment, saying that Leon had a good eye for finding a girlfriend this time. After hearing this, Leon frowned. Although there are some twists and turns, they're all developing in a good direction. What happened next? Jarvis replied, the accident happened on the morning of October 1st. A biological crisis broke out in New York City and quickly spread to the world. But then Miss Ada Wong sneaked into Umbrella Company and connected me to the internet. Only then did we find the real reason. The crisis that swept the entire world seemed to have originated in New York, but its root was actually in Raccoon City. Everything starts in the early morning of September 30th, when Marvin, Jill, and several other police officers led the survivors out of the city. A special Umbrella worker who was among them quietly stayed behind. The worker's name is Hank. He sneaked into the Underground Research Institute alone, and his mission was to recover the G virus. Fortunately, All the viruses and vaccines in the Institute were destroyed in advance by Mr. Bud. Hank returns empty-handed. However, when he left the Institute, he was bitten by a rat that came out of the sewer. And this mouse, half a day ago, after we left the Institute, went to the laboratory you destroyed. It was infected with a prototype of the S virus. Jarvis projects surveillance video. Inside, a mouse got into a collapsed laboratory and emerged again soon after. The time marked is 11 o'clock in the morning on September 29th, less than an hour after Leon left the world of Resident Evil. Jarvis continues. Hank didn't take it seriously when he was bitten. He killed the rat and left Raccoon City directly for New York. On the evening of September 30th, Hank arrives in New York. October 1st, Hank went to Umbrella's New York branch, but his condition was extremely poor. In the surveillance video projected by Jarvis, Hank, still wearing combat uniform, staggered into the office building. The video starts to speed up. 10 minutes later, screams came from the building, and the crowd surged out like a tide. Soon, explosions occurred one after another in the building, and a 3-meter-tall behemoth rushed out in the light of the fire. It was covered in blood and looked up to the sky and roared. The guns and artillery of Umbrella's combat troops could not kill it, but instead made it mutate and become stronger again and again. Even those people who were splashed by its blood began to become like it, with their bodies distorted and mutated. The surveillance screen flashed and jumped to 2 hours later. There is already a dense group of zombies in front of the Umbrella building. Various used heavy weapons were scattered randomly on the ground. But the monster that Hank turned into at the beginning was still standing among the corpses, with scarlet eyes. Hank mutated inside Umbrella, and it quickly infected everyone he met. Based on base calculations, the chance of an infected person becoming a zombie exceeds 98%. People who survive the infection but do not turn into zombies will also fall in a coma and be quickly eaten by zombies. The crisis quickly spread throughout New York. The final survival rate of local residents was even less than 1 in 1,000. Jill, Marvin, and others who have just arrived in the New York Police Department. Then with my remote support, he fled New York with difficulty that afternoon. Jarvis switched the video material and projected New York shrouded in flames. However, this is just the beginning. After the situation in New York became irreversible, the military began to use powerful weapons. But the physical fitness of each of these zombies is more than twice what it was before the infection. Even for every 100 zombies, a monster like Hank will be born. These monsters are extremely tenacious. Even if they are hit by a 125mm tank gun and only half a blackened head is left, they can still survive. To kill them, coverage bombing must be used. However, there are too many of these monsters. Among the millions of zombies in New York, there are tens of thousands of such monsters, and they are even increasing, because as long as ordinary people smell the blood of those monsters, they will be quickly infected and assimilated. Finally, seeing the situation getting out of control, Eagle used nuclear weapons. Tony was surprised. Nuclear weapon? Jarvis said, "That's right. 1930 on October 1st. 3 nuclear bombs landed over New York, ushering in chaos in the world. After that night, New York was razed to the ground. But Umbrella's people have achieved the supreme evolutionary ladder. They extracted the virus from the zombies. After repeating the experiment, they found out, although there will be 1 super zombie for every 100 zombies, but for every 100 infected people, there will also be 1 survivor who can remain sane and will not turn into a zombie. These survivors will fall into a coma after being infected, but when they wake up, they will be just like ordinary people. Even because of the perfect integration with the virus, they will gain immunity and become extremely powerful, agile, and wise. Umbrella has a traitor named Albert Weskier. At that time, he suddenly returned to Umbrella Company and actively participated in the experiment. After being injected with the virus and surviving, his strength reached 20 tons and his speed reached 150 meters per second. So Umbrella called the virus extracted from these zombies the Ascension virus. Later, after a man named Weskier became stronger, he quickly took control of Umbrella Company. At that time, I had already announced the evidence of Umbrella's crimes, and they were being wanted by countries all over the world. But Weskier ignored this and directly launched his human evolution plan. In other words, the virus is released all over the world. London, Berlin, Monaco, Moscow, Tokyo. Umbrella is a global pharmaceutical company. They have branches in almost every country. Even if these branches are wanted, they are still capable of releasing viruses. So on October 8th, European time, overnight, the airborne virus spread to most parts of the world. Within a few hours, the capitals of hundreds of countries fell one after another. 5 days later, the White Bear Kingdom abandoned its borders in Eastern Europe, moved all survivors to Siberia, and established a temporary capital on the frozen soil. Most of the cities of John Bull and Gallic Rooster fell, and the temporary command post was moved to the air defense base. What defeats them is not the power of the zombies, but the infection efficiency of the virus and its own loose management system. Until October 14th, a relatively intact country in the world, only the Rabbit country, which has strict customs and strong mobilization capabilities, is left. All of their soldiers wear protective clothing and fight on the southwest and northern borders. Successfully blocked the virus at the border. October 15th. More and more superhumans who survived the virus are being noticed. Also, because of the existence of such a group of people, the situation of countries resisting zombies has undergone new changes. October 16th. The whole territory of Xinjiang is plunged into a zombie crisis, and the economy is completely shut down. On this day, Texas declared its independence. On the one hand, the military's bombing of New York destroyed the country's hearts and minds. On the other hand, a group of superhumans came to the forefront, took power amidst gunfire and speeches, and formed a new officialdom. October 17th, 16 states, including Florida and Louisiana, declared independence. It was also on this day that Jill, Marvin, and others, who had traveled around several states, were trapped in a small town in Missouri. After receiving the rescue signal, I rushed to help and eliminated the zombies around the town. October 18th. With my help, Jill and others returned to Raccoon City, Colorado. At King Ada's request, I went to Canada to bring Bud and the others to Raccoon City. Everyone is together again. October 19th. King Ada made the information he investigated public. Everyone learned that the Dangshan virus was actually the prototype of the S virus developed by Master Lion. That day, Jill took the initiative to ask me for the virus stock solution and injected herself in the wild. She survived, and because the injected virus is the original solution, she became a being stronger than ordinary superhumans, with a strength of over 30 tons and a speed of over 200 meters per second. October 23rd, Colorado declared independence under Gill's leadership, with its capital located in Raccoon City. By this day, most states and counties in the southern part of the country had become independent, with only 7 northern states still supporting the old government. October 27th, a force called the Family holds the power of the old government of Eagle Sauce. They dropped a nuclear bomb each on Moscow and London, which had fallen. The reason is to eliminate zombies and save mankind. October 28th. The White Bear Country dropped a nuclear bomb on Washington for the same reason of saving humanity, but the old government failed to intercept it successfully. In the early morning of October 29th, that is, early this morning, the old official announced that a nuclear strike would be carried out on the temporary capital of the White Bear Country. The White Bear Country also announced that it would carry out nuclear strikes on the capitals of independent countries within the territory of Eagle Sauce. There are still 5 hours before they launch dozens of nuclear bombs at once. At this point, Jarvis finally stopped, but the trembling in Latoni's brain couldn't stop. He heard that his heart and liver were trembling, and he looked at Leon with extremely shocked eyes. "Is this a virus you developed?" Tony's pupils shook. "You've only been here for 12 hours, and you almost destroyed a world?" Leon's face turned dark. "I developed the virus, but I also destroyed it. I clearly destroyed all virus containers, destroyed the laboratory, and even used fluoroscopy to confirm that there were no living organisms around the laboratory. Not even a spider. Where did that rat come from? And what a coincidence. After it was infected, it didn't bite anyone. It just wanted to transmit the virus to Hank with great accuracy and kill him. This is the fault of world consciousness. It has ruined itself and wants me to wipe its butt. Leon finally understood the emotions shared by world consciousness before contacting him. Leave, evolve, lose control, gift, save. Gift, save. To leave means to leave. Evolution means that world consciousness should promote evolution. The emotional consciousness in this world is only superficial emotions, without logical thinking that he will never come back after leaving. So in order to continue to promote biological evolution around the world, as soon as he saw him leaving, he quickly chased away a mouse and ran to the ruins of a laboratory to breathe in the air there. After all, the prototype of the S virus can survive for 6 hours after escapes. Leon probably evaporated some of it when he destroyed the container. But there are at most a few strains of the virus floating in the air, and even if you get in, you can leave unharmed. However, those strains of the virus were all inhaled into the mouse's lungs and multiplied crazily in its body. And after it finished sucking it, it immediately ran out of the laboratory, just to wait for Hank, the destined person. You said that this was caused by the world consciousness seeking death. Can you blame him? I really didn't expect that this world consciousness is still a radical one. Leon rubbed his forehead. Forget it. Let's go to Raccoon City first, and we'll see what we do next. Chapter 75 Authority in Genetics Self-Locking Jarvis's subsystem notified Gil and others early. When Leon and Tony flew to Raccoon City, all their previous acquaintances were already waiting outside the city. Raccoon City today is very different from when he left. Circles of steel walls wrapped with wires and iron spikes surround the entire city. Thick coal smoke drifted over the city, and the smell was very pungent. As soon as Leon landed, Shirley jumped out from the crowd. Brother Leon. The little girl jumped onto Leon with tears in her eyes and hugged him. I've been worried that you wouldn't come back, but Sister Ada said you wouldn't leave us behind. You are finally back. Sorry. Leon rubbed Shirley's head. I've been away for too long. I promise. I will take you with me if I leave again this time. On the other side, Jill and Ada Wong also came over. You're talking about leaving just after you came back? Boss, why don't you kill that world consciousness before leaving this time? King Ada was wearing a windbreaker and a band-aid on her face. Although she was embarrassed, she still looked charming. Leon, welcome back. I didn't expect that world consciousness would cause such trouble. It's really hard to explain. Jill also looked complicated. She was wearing combat uniform, but her aura was different from before, a little more fierce and decisive. The experience during this period made her grow into a qualified leader. Do you even think that our world is hopeless? Is there no way? Jill pursed her lips and wanted to ask for help, but she couldn't. Oh, don't talk about this, Mr. Lion. I didn't expect that the world would have become like this when we meet again, but you are still in such good spirits. I'm really happy. Director Bard greeted with a smile. Jarvis had told them all the truth. Everyone present felt that the future was bleak, but this did not affect their gratitude to the sunny man in front of them. Leon's eyes scanned the faces in front of him. Marvin, Bud, Elliot, everyone is familiar to them. Obviously, in the past month, world consciousness has secretly helped. Otherwise, how could these people, who were all cannon fodder in the original work, survive a more serious global crisis? It's just saving a world. It's not a big deal. Leon opened his arms and hugged everyone. Don't be so gloomy. I promise, children will still have quiet desks in the future, and the world will still have bright sunshine. Can I still solve the virus I created? Of course the world needs to be saved. Not just because of these people in front of me, and because the consciousness of the world came again just a moment ago, offering him a prize he couldn't refuse. The power to control half of the world, plus the ability to lock genes themselves. Leon has not come into contact with the authority in front of him, so he can only say that he is very high-minded when he hears it. The latter gene has self-locking ability. The world consciousness is tailor-made for him, allowing him to actively control the stability of his own genes. With this ability, he will be more controllable when conducting research on Kryptonian bloodline. And in the future, It can also actively block its own genes to prevent the outflow of genes. The specific manifestation is that when the blood and hair leave his body, they will automatically lose all the genetic information that he does not want to flow out. This kind of ability is as important to Lion today as increasing its strength. To be honest, Leon doesn't want to wipe the butt of this radical world consciousness. But there's no way, it really gives too much. More importantly, these rewards can only be issued if Leon successfully saves the world and promotes biological evolution. Otherwise, world consciousness cannot give it even if it wants to. It gives rewards not based on what Lion wants, but on what it has. What do you mean? There was something called hope in the eyes of everyone present. Let's go in and say, by the way, let me introduce you. This is my brother, Tony Stark. He's coming over for a casual look this time. Leon pointed a Tai Juda beside him and introduced, and then everyone knew that there was a person in the golden and red armor, not another Jarvis. So you are Mr. Lion's brother. I have admired him for a long time. Your brother is so great. You must be an excellent person too. A group of people immediately gathered around Tony and spoke well of Leon. Tony was so speechless that the corners of his mouth twitched. This is what he hates to hear the most. And these people got one thing wrong. They should say, "It turns out that Leon is your brother. No wonder he is so good." Tony decided that he must give these indigenous people from another world some shock from genius. The Raccoon City Police Department is now the capital of the Republic of Colorado. As the leader, Gil works here every day, or sets out from here to eliminate zombies. In the police station conference room, Bud, who is the director of the National Virus Research Center, and Marvin, the director of the State Administration of Security, and others are all sitting at the bottom. Leon, who was standing in the main position, felt a little disillusioned. To him, it was just a few hours of absence. As a result, the former little police officers and little directors all became national figures. Although this country has just been established, the population is only a few 100,000, and most of them are still huddled in the small city of Raccoon City. But still makes people feel a little uncomfortable. The most important problem now is that we have no means to stop the nuclear bomb that is about to be launched by the White Bear Country. From the side, Gil analyzed, in addition, the number of zombies migrating from other countries' territories is still increasing, and our defensive pressure has been rising, especially the super zombies. Except for me and the steel armor, no one in Raccoon City can resist them. Nowadays, there are more than 40 countries in Xinjiang's territory. Nearly every state has a new official. What was once an exchange between states suddenly became an international negotiation. It's really weird. Gil looked at Leon. Leon has to make up your mind on what to do next. Let me think about it. The solution is actually very simple. I will destroy the nuclear bomb and then kill the super zombies. Leon understood the general idea and made a decision directly. It takes great effort to achieve miracles. I will solve all these problems before tonight. But if you want to save the world, ordinary zombies are the biggest problem. Even if corresponding antiviral serums are produced, solving them will still be a long-term problem. For example, in Asen Kingdom, almost 80% of ordinary people have died or turned into zombies. Those nearly 1 billion zombies would have taken over the world long ago if they were not smart. What can ordinary people do to fight against them? Not to mention the zombie birds, zombie rats, and zombie insects that are now swarming around the world. There is only one way to reverse the situation. Leon put his hands on the table, studied the updated S virus, and turned every ordinary person into a superhuman. Chapter 76, Destroy the Nuclear Bomb. End of the meeting. Gil stayed in the former director's office to handle matters. Marvin and others accompanied Leon around the city and then went to the Underground Research Institute. They had previously built a patio above the institute and built a new elevator that could lead directly to the facility gate. Everyone went down in the elevator. I don't think you can eat burgers in this world anymore, Tony complained to Leon in a low voice. The virus has simply made this place go back to the Middle Ages. Even the streets are full of people sleeping, and the smell of excrement is everywhere. So, you regret coming here now? Leon also asked in a low voice. Regret. Tony looked like you were joking. What does this word mean? Sorry, I don't know this word. His big eyes were full of seriousness. Now that I'm here, I have to do something for this world, and I will treat it as washing away your sins. Don't be ridiculous. Can you blame me for this kind of thing? I didn't know that world consciousness could be so exciting. Leon retorted, "It was indeed a joke just now, but I really have to do something. Have you forgotten? I am Iron Man." Tony emphasized, "Okay, Iron Man, what do you want to do? Research a new armor here. Study your S-virus prototype." "Are you kidding again? Your research field is energy, materials, and machinery. Am I a joker? Let me ask you a few biochemical questions." Leon asked several questions in the biochemical field that he thought were relatively cutting edge, but Tony answered them all fluently. "You actually answered all the questions? Why didn't I know when I secretly studied for a PhD in biology?" Leon was surprised. Tony shrugged. "After you said you wanted to study Kryptonian genes, I studied for a few days." "Only a few days? Then you're really a genius. Do you think you're the only one who learns things faster?" Tony shook his head indifferently. "Learning speed is only the basis for becoming a genius, kid." Leon suddenly realized that Tony's learning speed was not much slower than that of a person with a superbrain. The other party is indeed worthy of Thanos' evaluation of a person cursed by knowledge. After the elevator arrives at the Institute, Tony took Leon and rushed into the laboratory. In the research of S-virus, Tony got started very quickly. Often, before Leon has finished explaining the previous sentence, he has even figured out the content of the next 3 sentences. For the first time, Leon felt the ability to understand something as fast as a superbrain in someone else. The two of them discussed and experimented. When one person bursts with inspiration, it always inspires the other. Their inspiration is like a left foot stepping on the right foot, spiraling upward into the sky. Next to him are Director Bud and his assistants as assistants. They were all in a state of confusion with big eyes and small eyes. They couldn't understand why there were such perverted people in the world, and 2 of them appeared at once. Half an hour later, a tube of orange reagent comes out. The S-virus prototype vaccine can form antibodies to block virus infection and can be effective through the air, but it will also eliminate the strengthening effect of the S-virus prototype. Tony touched his chin. "That's enough for the moment. So, you come and use it for experiments on mice." Leon also held a bottle of golden reagent. The S1 virus has been successfully improved. The probability of mutation after infection has been reduced to 70%, and the strengthening effect remains unchanged, but it is still far from the final goal. He took out the suitcase he had brought. After opening it, take out the extremist virus and USB flash drive. "Tony, first try to see if you can fuse the extremist virus and the S1 virus." Leon took off his white lab coat and said, "We need other reference materials to further improve the virus. I'll look for them and destroy some nuclear bombs along the way. Then you have to speed up. I'm afraid that in a few hours, even the perfect version of the S virus will appear on this table." Tony stared at the golden bottle of virus stock solution intently. After in-depth research, he clearly realized that this virus can indeed be called the ladder of biological evolution. Being able to see such a creation, Tony felt that the trip was worthwhile. What's more, he feels that it won't take too long before he will create a truly perfect virus. By then, maybe their brothers can really promote the evolution of the entire world, which is exciting to think about. I hope so. I wish you could just create the final version of the S virus. Leon is not worried about Tony's infection. With his special physique, Tony has no chance of turning into a zombie. No matter how contagious the virus is in the world of Resident Evil, it can only make him stronger now. Leon left the Underground Research Institute and soared directly into the sky. He accelerated in the air, rushed out of the atmospheric escape layer 5 seconds later, and floated in the universe. His sleeves fluttered silently in the void, and his supervision enveloped the world, locking on super zombies on the surface one after another. Judgment is coming. Like a punishment from heaven, 2 heat rays landed on the ground from outer space. For the Earth in this era, it is simply the most deadly space-based weapon in science fiction movies. The super zombies wandering aimlessly on the ground were suddenly enveloped by the blazing heat coming from the sky. The tens of trillions of cells in its body held together and were bombarded into the most primitive molecules in an instant. The sky-reaching red light column plowed on the ground, just like God holding chopsticks to stir up the world. Wherever it passes, the world crumbles and the ocean steams. In the realm of Aeson Kingdom, millions of super zombies roared up to the sky, as if they wanted to challenge the divine punishment from heaven, but they were instantly wiped out in the beam of light. The whole world began to focus on these two pillars of light that were like divine punishment. Watch it sweep from the Pacific to the Indian Ocean, and it extends from South Asia to Africa. It also blasted through deeper ravines next to the East African Rift Valley. Wherever he passed, the sea parted and the clouds broke up, just like Moses stretched out his staff over the sea, and God parted the sea. When the whole world was plowed by two beams of light, the divine punishment that fell from the sky gradually faded away. The evildoers who caused trouble felt like they were falling into an abyss, and the refugees in dire straits were lying on their knees in prayer. They all believed in the existence of gods at this moment. But Lion's actions don't stop there. He spent 20 minutes to eliminate tens of millions of super zombies on the Earth. There are nuclear bombs waiting for him next. He twisted at the waist and dived into the Earth. People in this world don't deliberately use lead to block prying eyes. Leon glanced around and saw at a glance all the nuclear bomb storage locations on the Earth. He encountered mountains, seas, and waters, and the base that could withstand nuclear explosions could not last long in front of him. A few minutes later, Leon used a biological force field to wrap tens of thousands of nuclear bombs from Eagle Sauce and White Bear and push them into space together, until hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from the atmospheric exosphere. Leon then uses heat rays to destroy all nuclear bombs. High temperature and high pressure induce fusion. Brilliant fireworks explode in the universe, and invisible penetrating radiation and electromagnetic pulses spread in circles. Countless satellites were witnessing this scene together. Leon turned his back to the Earth, his figure swaying in the firelight, like a god looking down on the heaven and earth, and everything could be picked up. When he turned back, he did not use the biological force field to cover his face. Half of his cheeks were illuminated by the firelight, and half of his cheeks were filled with sunlight. Countless screens around the world recorded Leon's face at this moment. This face, like a knife and an axe, has been deeply engraved in the minds of countless people in front of the screen. Chapter 77, Collecting Experimental Materials in Carnival Raccoon City. Ada Wong, Jill, and others were also looking at Leon's figure on the screen. He just destroyed all the nuclear bombs of the Eagle and the Bear. Even though she was calm, Ada felt that her brain was slightly heated at this moment. Gil looked at the screen steadily and showed a wry smile. I thought that after becoming a superhuman, I had shortened the distance with him, but I didn't expect that he was so strong. Brother Leon, great. Shirley raised her hands and cheered. He saved us again. Marvin and one of his men looked at each other and spread their hands. You see, this is why we call you Kennedy instead of Lion. Leon S. Kennedy shook his head helplessly. Maybe I should give him a nickname. Otherwise, having the same name as this gentleman would be quite stressful, to be honest. In the Research Institute, everyone who saw the scene of the nuclear bomb explosion cheered. Tony glanced at it and continued to study. What kind of strength Lion has, he knows best here. Next, there's Plaka Parasite and Mold. Leon dived into the Earth again, and his figure disappeared from the sight of all satellites. He didn't have any cover and fell like a meteorite. The fire around him was caused by friction due to the high-speed movement, and he crashed into a village in the Spanish Wolf Tooth Valley. Boom! The huge shock wave spread, and dozens of houses in the village were swept away by the airwave. The ground cracked like a spider web and collapsed rapidly. After the aftermath, Leon floated up from the 10-meter-deep crater created by the impact and flew towards the castle deep in the village. This castle has been handed down from the Middle Ages and is classic and magnificent. Leon couldn't help but stop and admire it for a few minutes. Then he kicked outside the castle and immediately the entire building complex collapsed. The people inside emerged from the ruins one by one, standing there stunned, but they were unharmed due to Leon's control. "Who is Sadler?" Leon asked the question, but looked directly at the man in the back of the crowd wearing a hood and holding a scepter. "Osmond Sadler, the leader of the Illuminati cult, attempts to use the Plaka parasite to control the world." Everyone in the castle ruins turned their attention to Sadler. The man's face under the hood was hidden in the shadows, as if he was planning some conspiracy. Thump! Then he knelt down with a thud. "Sir, I am Sadler." Leon stepped on the ruins and walked up to Sadler. "Hand over the dominant Plaka parasite." "Yes, but the dominant type is gone for the time being." "Sir, please give me some time." Sadler's body trembled slightly. "No? Isn't this already available?" Leon crushed Sadler's head with his foot and burned his body with heat rays. After a few seconds, a parasite crawled out. "I hate it when people lie to me." He put away the parasites and looked around. "Destroy all the parasites within 3 days, otherwise you will be the ones destroyed." Dust rises. Lion disappeared silently, which was completely different from the grand appearance when he arrived. After a brief silence, the sound of kneeling on the ground was heard. A few minutes later, Leon suddenly appeared in a village in Romania. With extremely fast speed and a biological force field, his movements appear as if he is teleporting. Same as the previous location. There are villages on the outside, but there are castles inside. Lion floats above the center of the castle. He observed for a week, found a cave where the fungus owner was, and plunged in. The solid mountain was penetrated as easily as tofu. A huge mold aggregate entrenched in the cave appeared in front of Leon. That's the fungus owner. The appearance of the fungus owner is like a baby, and the color is almost pink. The whole body rises and falls as if it is breathing. Leon could even hear the vitality rhythm in its body, as billions of mycelium were transporting nutrients to it. This is the third type of evolutionary key in Resident Evil mold. Leon took out a syringe, inserted it into the host, and pulled out a tube full of mycelium. After he put away the test tube, he shot out heat rays from his eyes, burning up the huge bacteria owner in a few breaths. Who destroyed the fungus master? As soon as the fungus owner was burned to ashes, a harsh howl came from outside the cave. This reaction was as fast as unplugging the internet cable of a girl addicted to the internet. As soon as she pulled it out, she started crying and howling. Leon was unmoved, blasting open the cave dome with one punch, flying into the air, and continued to destroy the mycelium. "How dare you? Stop it!" The woman who had been howling before was approaching quickly. That was Miranda, the earliest infected person of the mold and the owner of this territory. Behind her was a group of dark people. There are men and women, some who look like humans and some who don't. This is all a bunch of guys infected with the mold. Lion's purpose is to destroy mold. The arrival of these people can be said to be exactly what he wanted. According to the development context of Resident Evil games, mold may develop into a kind of annihilation crisis in the future. Now that they are all here, Leon decided to clean up all these hidden dangers, as if he had completed the mission of saving the world that World Consciousness mentioned before. He immediately climbed up and breathed out his freezing breath with all his strength. After a few seconds, the entire village turned into a huge piece of ice, and even the lake outside the village was not spared. Every facet of the huge ice cube is crystal clear. Leon could even see Miranda in the eyes, whose expression remained at a ferocious moment. I remember this person has lived for more than 100 years. Mold is indeed unique. He flew to the edge of the ice, and with one force, he lifted up a huge ice block with a radius of more than 3 kilometers and a height of more than 200 meters in front of him, and then flew into space. Soon satellites from various countries captured Lion's figure again, but this time everyone in front of the screen was even more incomprehensible. Where did this great god find a giant ice block with a house, flowers, trees, and trees? Is he doing a magic trick? I saw Leon throwing ice cubes outside the earth and smashing them with one punch. Suddenly, countless ice crystals with a diameter of no more than 1 millimeter spread out in all directions, like silvery white fireworks blooming in the middle of the night. All the people in front of the screen couldn't help but say "so beautiful" to this wonder of the universe. When they came back to their senses and looked at the mysterious figure, the other party had disappeared again. The other side. As soon as Leon returned to the police station, he received a warm welcome from everyone. Jill took the lead in shouting thank you. She saluted tearfully and then hugged. For a time, the hall was filled with applause, cheers, and even tears of joy. All kinds of emotions are coming, like waves rising and falling. Fireworks and fireworks went off around Lion, and confetti of various colors scattered like a waterfall. There was also champagne. Kennedy pressed his thumb on the mouth of the bottle, shook it vigorously, and then cheered and sprayed out the fountain. They all knew what had just happened, and they all knew that the savior in front of them saved them. They watched with their own eyes the man on the screen killing super zombies with heat rays and detonating nuclear bombs. Today is undoubtedly their happiest day in the past month. Everyone gathered around Leon. Regardless of whether it is a girl or a boy, they should kiss him hard on the cheek and then proudly show off to others. They all saw hope. There were originally unsolvable super zombies and unsolvable nuclear bombs. Here in Lion, it was all done in less than half an hour. It seemed that the end of the world was just a noisy house game in front of this man. Here, the name Lion has completely become synonymous with the future. The men lifted Leon up and threw him into the sky, with smiles on their faces, as if they were throwing away their beloved at the wedding. The women pushed Leon onto the podium again, hoping that he could say a few more words. Even if there is only one sentence, they will definitely meet this handsome savior in their dreams tonight. Leon is actually not very interested in such occasions. It would remind him of the parties he attended as a child, hanging around Tony's neck. That really can't be said to be a good memory. After all, he can only be a spectator. But the expectant looks from everyone made Leon know that he had better say something. So he coughed lightly, looked around the suddenly quiet hall, thought for a while, and sang a Chinese version of the Internationale. Not too loud, singing echoed in the police station hall. Slowly, some people followed Lion's rhythm in English and Russian. When the song ended, some people cheered loudly, while others burst into tears. But they have one thing in common. They're all rushing to the podium crazily, trying to hug Lion again. The carnival at this moment did not end until the night. Later, even Tony ran back to the police station and took a large number of scientific researchers to join the carnival. He held the girl's arm to dance a waltz, held the beautiful woman's waist, and drank Bordeaux. The happiness that had disappeared for a month suddenly came at this moment. Chapter 78 SS Type Enhanced Serum Leon was a little confused that night. Alcohol couldn't make him drowsy, but the drunken cheeks pressed against him made him give up thinking. In the end, all kinds of strange things seemed to happen. When he saw Ada and Jill next to him early the next morning, he understood what was strange. The two of them still smelled of alcohol and were sleeping deeply. So Leon tidied up his quilt and chose to leave the room first. He washed the blood off certain parts of his body in the police station shower room, put on another set of casual clothes. Then he slowly walked into the Underground Research Institute. Of course, Tony wasn't here at this time. The last time Leon saw him last night, he was leading two big waves and disappearing into the corner. It's estimated that Tony won't get out of bed until the sun rises 3 times today. There is actually no second person in the Institute now. Yesterday's carnival probably made this newly established country press the pause button for a while. Leon simply started researching alone. He ordered Jarvis to open Tony's research records from yesterday. Originally, I wanted to take over Tony's results and continue research. As a result, he was surprised to find that the infection mutation rate of the S virus was actually reduced to 5% by Tony. This is actually no different from a true evolution potion. But even for Tony, isn't this kind of progress incredibly fast? Leon sat down and flipped through the electronic records. It turns out that Tony got stuck midway through the experiment, and his subsequent attempts to integrate the extremist virus failed. Finally, he had an idea and chose to use his own blood as the medium, and the efficiency of the experiment improved by leaps and bounds. Have to say, a constitution given by world consciousness. It is a versatile material when it comes to fusion viruses. Tony ends up analyzing the changes that occur when a virus integrates into his blood. Successfully fuse the extremis virus and the S virus and reduce the chance of mutation to 5%. Based on Lyon's naming habits, he called this newly synthesized virus the S2 type evolutionary virus. But the subsequent research was not so smooth. Even if Tony found the right path, the infection mutation rate of the virus could not be further reduced. At the bottom of the research record, Tony wrote down a final conclusion. The characteristics of viruses are contagion and mutation. If we want to achieve complete safe evolution, we cannot use viruses as vectors. We need to find new media. Leon read Tony's message thoughtfully. New media with mold or parasites? No, none of these will work. They are all unstable foreign objects. You have to find other things. But among the things I've come into contact with, there doesn't seem to be any other substances that can strengthen the human body. Leon glanced at the serum on the table, and suddenly an inspiration flashed in his mind. Wait a minute, super soldier serum, that's right. He slapped the table excitedly and stood up. Jarvis, do you have any dusty information about the super soldier serum in your database? Like a partial formula or something? Master Lion, there is a relevant document in the host group in Stark Industrial Park, but it is incomplete. Jarvis answered, Beautiful. That's what I want. Leon couldn't wait to activate his ability to travel, disappeared in place, and reappeared the next moment. He inserted a USB flash drive into the computer, and a large amount of super soldier information popped up. It seems there is really no possibility of failure this time. Leon touched his chin. The time soon came to noon. A sleepy Tony came to the laboratory. He originally wanted to tease Lion, but after seeing Lion's research direction, he couldn't sit still for a second. Immediately put on the research clothes on hands and knees and joined the research. Before I knew it, another 6 hours had passed. In the laboratory, when a sophisticated giant synthesizer beeps, the golden solution was poured into a clear syringe. Leon and Tony both had expressions of admiration on their faces. Look at her. How beautiful she is. Tony spread his hands like flowers, showing the syringe. We really did it. At this moment, we're simply Prometheus, Leon. Lion also said, it can allow any creature in the world to move to a new level and become a new species. It's not an exaggeration to say it's the fire in Zeus's hand. It's really amazing. He walked over to the instrument and picked up the syringe. S-virus, E-mold, placa-parasite, and extremis virus. We refer to the transformation method of the super soldier serum and integrated all the mutation factors and evolution factors of these 4 evolutionary keys. Today's new reagents are not contagious and have no sequelae. They're just a ladder of evolution. After the injection, not only the strength, physique, speed, and brain will be super enhanced in all aspects. Individuals will also gain virus immunity, super regeneration, limb extension, bacterial control, blood parasitism and manipulation, and the ability to control temperatures of thousands of degrees. Besides perfect, it's hard to find another suitable word to describe it. So how should this serum be named? How about calling it SS-type enhanced serum? After all, it was born out of the S virus. Leon combed through the characteristics of the new serum with his fingers and finally made a proposal. Tony thinks the name is neither good nor bad. It feels like it's nothing new. It's already so awesome. How about calling it Super Soldier Awesome Plus Size Serum? We've already surpassed that old guy Howard. No, I shouldn't have high hopes for your naming skills. I've decided to call it SS-type Enhanced Serum. Leon felt that Tony's name was inferior. What you're doing isn't that good. You're looking like a cheap industrial mass producer. Tony immediately retorted. But it's up to you. It's your serum anyway. And don't tell me that you really plan to spread this serum to every area on the Earth. Tony frowned. That will inevitably lead to more crises, more conflicts and contradictions. You must know that. Of course it's impossible. Leon took out 2 syringes. Have you forgotten our previous research results? He put the 3 reagents on the table and explained them separately. Look at these. This is the SS1 type enhanced serum that only incorporates the characteristics of the S virus. On the right is the SS2 type, which is based on the SS1 type and incorporates the characteristics of the extremist virus. The last one is the perfect SS3 type we just synthesized. I have already thought about it. I will spread the SS1 type all over the world and only inject the SS2 type into trustworthy people. The last SS3 will be left to you. Leon patted Tony on the shoulder. After all, the first two serums can be synthesized directly, but the raw materials of SS3 must contain your blood. This serum is destined to be uniquely yours. Wow. To be honest, I was almost moved to tears when you said that. Tony threw his head back. His expression was exaggerated. If you hadn't taken 400 cubic centimeters of my blood in one breath before, I would have cried. Don't say that. It's all for experiments. Come on, I'll take you to eat some delicious blood supplements. Leon put his arm around Tony's shoulders. Delicious? You mean those sticky cereals in this doomsday city? Tony couldn't praise the food in Raccoon City. You've already said it's the end of the world, and you still want to eat so much. Leon was talking when suddenly a wave of fluctuation came. His expression gradually became strange. Chapter 79 wings are increasing day by day. What happened? Why did it suddenly feel like seeing a ghost? Tony stopped, looking surprised. He thought of Leon's appearance in the woods yesterday. Ah, I see. Is that world consciousness coming again? Leon was stunned for a few seconds. After coming back to his senses, he nodded with a weird look on his face. The meaning it expresses is very complicated, but it probably means that the SS reagent is not good, and it needs the contagious evolution agent from before. What? Its brain is broken, and it says that? Well, it doesn't have a brain either. Tony exclaimed. He felt strange. So why not use SS serum? Because the SS serum is too stable, there is no longer the possibility of subsequent evolution. Leon was speechless. It wants something that is relatively stable, but also has the possibility of evolving or continuing to mutate. Tony put his hands on his hips. What an interesting idea. Does it want to keep evolving? It sounds a lot like what Obadiah said when he gave me advice before. He will also give you very complicated advice, like the colorful black ones. Pretty much. So I always ignore him and just follow my own ideas. Now the case is solved. No wonder he wants to kill you. Maybe, but it's impossible for me to make a rifle that can heat, cool, and navigate, as he said. What a strange idea. Sure enough, Party A all over the world is very strange. Leon returned to the experimental table. But fortunately, with the experience of developing SS serum, it is now easy to create a new S virus. He had no idea of rejecting the demands of world consciousness. After all, if something goes wrong again in the future, the consciousness of the world will still have to look for him. If you go to him again, it won't make sense if you don't give him more authority. By then, it will be unclear who is the world consciousness. Leon thought that if he really mastered the biochemical world in the future, it would be good to take out his world consciousness and be Jarvis's companion. 5 minutes later, the final type of S virus, with an infection mutation rate of only 1,000th, was successfully born. Its effect is almost the same as the original prototype version, which perfectly meets the requirements of evolving global creatures. After the new virus was synthesized, the world consciousness was indeed very satisfied. It exuded excitement, urging Lion to spread the virus quickly, feeling like a pastoral dog with its tail wagging happily. Okay, after I go to have a meal with Tony, I'll find someone to experiment with the virus. Leon promised repeatedly, then shrugged at Tony and walked to the elevator of the Institute together. Yesterday's carnival indeed caused most people to miss work. The Research Institute was deserted until the two Leon left. There are only 2 or 3 police officers on duty in the police station. On the way to Lion, he complained that it would be difficult to manage a country with such a loose official organization. It wasn't until he met Jill that Leon knew that it was Jill, the president, who specially gave everyone a day off. The reason is that Leon saved the world yesterday, so today is designated as a new Thanksgiving Day. Now Lion had to change his mind and lamented that this new official was very efficient. But when I saw Jill, this stunning beauty was actually not in a good mood. In the former police chief's office. Gil, what's wrong with you? Leon asked, looking at Gil, who looked unhappy. Tony, the guy, saw that the situation was not going well and had already left, leading the two big waves from last night to where they were going. I shouldn't be the one to ask you. What's wrong with you? Gil put his right hand on his hip. You did such a ridiculous thing, but then left me and Ada behind and disappeared for a whole day. I thought you had fled in fear of crime. The term absconding in fear of crime refers to criminals and should not be used indiscriminately. Leon corrected. It was obvious last night that you two drank too much and argued and decided to be together. You can't blame me. Actually, it's not that you drank too much. You can only be considered tipsy, and you are rushing to do bad things in the name of alcohol. He added. Jill blushed and turned away her cheeks. Even if you do, you can't leave us two behind. I didn't abandon you. I tucked you in when I left. Leon picked up the paper cup and took a glass of water. I was just doing experiments with Tony at the Research Institute, and you didn't even notify me that I have a day off today. I'm still wondering why there's no one here today. He drank all the water in the glass and looked at the door again. By the way, Ada, why have you been hiding behind the door? The door creaked open. Of course, I'm waiting for you to call me in. Ada pushed the door open and walked in, her steps still a little staggering. Her physique is far inferior to that of Jill, and it will take some time to recover after being injured. After all, I don't want to disturb the private conversation between my boss and my love rival. Ada said. Jill narrowed her eyes when she heard the word love rival. Then would it be better for you to pretend not to hear and turn around and leave? Oh, really? I thought Miss President and I would be on the same page. Ada sniffed, lying closely. After all, compared to us two novices, someone's skills can be said to be at the pinnacle. Huh. Gil was stunned for a moment, then turned his gaze to Leon, feeling that Ada was right. No wonder I felt so. Could it be that you had other? Ahem. Leon coughed. Stop arguing. A president and a director of the intelligence agency are arguing at a critical moment. How can this country still run? The two of them were dumbfounded. This man knew how to deflect conflicts. Leon spread his arms at this time. So I think, as colleagues, we need to have a good talk together. Are there any problems that cannot be solved through communication? If there are, then it must be insufficient communication. What kind of communication? You asked me to finish what I just said? You're so impatient. You don't even wait for me. Ada shook her head and followed. Another early morning, Leon woke up in a familiar bed. He cheered up, woke up the two elves next to him, and did some morning exercises before washing up and leaving together. Police station lobby. Contrary to yesterday's empty scene, today the place is full of public servants coming and going. Tony was sitting at a table having a meal. His eyes had heavy dark circles. His face was pale, and he looked like he had kidney deficiency. Leon sat over, took a baguette, and stuffed it into his mouth. The taste was hard to describe, but after the baguette entered his mouth, he chewed it and swallowed it. Tony, did you do bad things with the big waves again last night? Look at yourself. Do you still look like a scientist after being obsessed with those things all day long? Leon took the moral high ground as soon as he arrived. If you continue like this, are you worthy of Pepper? Tony raised his eyebrows. Didn't I pay her salary this month? I even gave her strawberries a few days ago. Please, she's not even my girlfriend yet. Why can't I feel sorry for her? Pepper is allergic to strawberries, Tony. Leon's face straightened. Tony nodded and ate a baguette with milk. That's right. So she scolded me seriously after receiving the gift. Then you should scold him. Leon saw that Tony was eating well, and he couldn't help but take another bite of the baguette, but it was still tasteless. What about you? Do you think I don't know what you were doing after the show 2 days ago? Tony deliberately elbowed Leon. Are you worthy of the agent's sister in your fortress? She is my subordinate. Thank you. Leon took the paper cup and poured half of Tony's milk over. Oh ho, subordinate. Tony nodded. He raised the milk and winked. Here, give me a drink. There's really nothing I can do about you. Okay, let's toast to your big wave. Leon clinked his glasses and drank up all the milk. But I still want to remind you that when engaging in continuous high-intensity combat, you must first pay attention to your body. Leon patted Tony's arm and stood up. We are not the same. If it hadn't been for the blood draw yesterday, I would be fine now. Tony tried to defend. So it's different. If I took the blood, I'd be as active and lively as ever. Hey, your body is amazing. Tony looked at Leon's leaving back and curled his lips. He was silent for a few seconds, biting the baguette in his mouth, and suddenly stood up and walked towards the research institute. No, I have to complete the in vivo experiment quickly and then inject the serum. This is a different world. We can't let this kid be arrogant alone. Chapter 80 National Strengthening on the afternoon of October 31st. Raccoon City Police Department Conference Room. You said that you have already researched a virus that has only a 1,000th chance of mutating after infection? Jill stood up suddenly in disbelief. Are you serious, Leon? It's not just her. Everyone in the conference room stood up. All kinds of surprised and anxious eyes turned to Leon and Tony in the main seat. That virus that has left scientists all over the world at a loss. It was actually successfully conquered by these brothers in 2 days. Now, even if someone shouts that Stark is God, they will probably believe it. There's no need to be so excited. Everyone, I understand you must be thinking now, wow, was this a joke God played on me when I woke up today? Tony pushed Leon aside and performed alone. But this is the fact. I promise in the name of Iron Man that the end of the world is over, and it will end from today. He opened his hands exaggeratedly, as if he wanted to embrace the whole world. But no one in the world responded to him, because everyone's head was knocked unconscious by the sudden pie. Ahem, shouldn't you do something now? Tony posed for a few seconds and awkwardly waved his fingers. For example, cheering, screaming, and carnival. Everyone in the conference room woke up from a dream, shouting to fulfill Tony's wish, rushing up to throw him into the air and chanting Iron Man over and over again. Leon quietly retreated to the corner, looking helplessly at the old man who was being thrown up and down, smiling broadly and shouting to lift him up higher. Your brother and you have somewhat different styles. King Ada stood aside. That's how he is. He has a strong desire to express himself, Lion said. That's not what I'm talking about. Didn't you realize that you also have a strong desire to express yourself? Ada couldn't help laughing. I mean, he's more flamboyant, whereas you like to keep a low profile and then shine when no one expects. Leon raised his eyebrows. Thank you so much for helping us find what we two brothers have in common. You're welcome. Ada raised Leon's palm with her little finger. They're going to have a carnival again, so today. Old place, Leon replied immediately. Okay, boss. Ada blinked. However, the carnival that Tony had been dreaming about could not be held in the end. In a doomsday environment, there are not so many resources and time to waste. Moreover, no one wants to relax at this moment after hearing the news that the new virus has been successfully developed. Everyone is full of energy and hope is burning in their hearts. They can't wait to be infected with the new virus now and rush out of the city to regain the lost ground. The first batch of volunteers to participate in the experiment were recruited on the spot. When asked, no one in the conference room hesitated for even a second. They are not afraid of dying in the laboratory. They're just afraid that the experimental results will be unsatisfactory. These civil servants recruited by Gil are indeed warriors who dare to sacrifice and have a great heart. At the end of the experiment, the order was determined by drawing lots. Leon S. Kennedy, this new police officer, who had just received the lofty nickname 3 Lights from the savior at the reception the day before yesterday, had the honor to be first in line. Half an hour later, in front of a closed laboratory in the Underground Research Institute, dozens of people stared at Kennedy on the other side of the high-strength glass. He was tied to the test table, and his body was filled with tubes for injecting nutrient solution. Leon, who was wearing protective clothing, injected the final form of the S virus. Watching the golden virus liquid being injected into Kennedy's body, the volunteers lining up outside clenched their fists one by one. Sangwon, come on, hold on. You can definitely do it. Sangwon, you can't fail to be given such a title by Mr. Lion. At the cocktail party the day before yesterday, Kennedy shyly asked Lion to give him a nickname. After thinking seriously, Lion said that Kennedy combines high light, sunshine, and low light into one, so it must be called 3 Lights. So Kennedy's nickname was decided. After the cocktail party, he has been proudly calling himself Three Lights Kennedy. This nickname also made everyone in the police station envious. Now, every day when they see Kennedy, they put their arms around his neck and say something bitter. In a laboratory, after the virus was injected into Kennedy, after a brief period of calm, his veins suddenly stretched all over his body, his muscles swelled, and he let out a shrill howl. His waist was still lifted hard by the steel shackles, and he was about to break free of the shackles. At this moment, Leon quickly pushed him back to the test stand. No matter how he screamed and screamed, his expression remained unchanged. Kennedy screamed like this for 7 minutes, and people outside the laboratory were also in fear for 7 minutes. After Kennedy calmed down, Lion observed with his clairvoyance eyes and then used his hands to squeeze the opponent's bones and muscles. Okay, the experiment was successful. The virus was strengthened smoothly, and there are no signs of mutation. Next one, Lion made a summary, then lifted up the much heavier Kennedy and placed him on the bed outside the laboratory. At this moment,
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.